Chapter 439. Meng Yujing finally understood why Ning Cheng looked down on her, and moreover had a bad impression of her. Ning Cheng knew Ko Hong, so of course he knew that she was Ko Hong's fiancée. Moreover, she, as Ko Hong's fiancée, even had a rendezvous with another man. If Ning Cheng looked up to her, then it would really be a strange thing. Ning Cheng looked at Meng Yujing's expression, and knew that it would be difficult for her to answer. Thinking that this matter did not have much to do with him, he simply waved his hand and said, "You don't have to answer my question. Just take me to Kong Cheng. Once we find Kong Cheng, I will help you remove the spiritual consciousness restriction. We both get what we need." Meng Yujing returned to her senses as she once again sat down and spoke. "My Meng clan was one of the top clans in the Yixing mainland a long time ago. According to the legends, my Meng clan's ancestors had already transcended the boundaries of a world and crossed the universe. But after my Meng clan's ancestor left, the Meng clan began to decline. After countless years, only the Meng clan's direct descendant cultivation method remained. Several hundred years ago, my Meng clan was attacked again. My great-grandfather, Meng Qianxing, managed to escape with my Meng clan's cultivation method. Unfortunately, he was still caught by two people. My great-grandfather's Meng clan's cultivation method was stolen, and he was seriously injured and fell into the river. Fortunately, the heavens did not destroy my Meng family. Great-grandfather was saved by someone. In order to not let the Meng family die out, great-grandfather decided that the descendants of the Meng family, regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, must have the surname Meng. Therefore, a trace of the Meng family bloodline has been passed down. Ning Cheng did not interrupt Meng Yujing's words. He guessed that Meng Yujing would not say such things for no reason. In the past, the two people who chased after my Meng clan were surnamed Chu and Ko. My Meng clan's cultivation method was also taken by these two clans. After so many years, the two families had long forgotten that their cultivation methods were stolen. Moreover, they would never remember that the people they robbed were the Meng clan. When Meng Yujing spoke till here, Ning Cheng already vaguely understood something. It seemed like this matter was a little melodramatic. He really regretted being a busybody. Meng Yujing continued to speak. "After I was born, the Meng clan had already fallen to the edge of ordinary mortals, to the point that even cultivation had become a luxury. My father thought that I had a bit of beauty, and also a bit of aptitude, so he went all out to train me, and finally let me enter the Falling Star Academy. After that, my father deliberately approached the Chu clan's Chu Nanshi. After learning that I was in the Falling Star Academy, Chu Nanshi immediately thought of a marriage, and wanted me to marry the eldest son of the Chu clan, Chu Ping. When my father came back, he told me that I must get part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from Chu Ping's hands. But this wasn't the end. After my father had me and Chu Ping engaged, he secretly contacted Ko Ruisi of the Ko family and arranged for me and Ko Hong to be engaged again. He also told me that I must get the other part of the Meng family's cultivation technique from Ko Hong's hands." Ning Cheng was dumbfounded as he looked at Meng Yujing. How could there be such a father? He betrothed his daughter to two families with ulterior motives. He was speechless. This Meng Yujing was quite obedient, and even agreed to her father's arrangement. "The last time you followed me, it was Chu Ping. I had obtained a part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from his hands. I originally wanted to kill him, but I did not expect that someone would help me kill him." Meng Yujing's tone was getting more and more flat. After she finished speaking, she took the initiative to take out half of the leather scroll. An incomparably ancient aura came from the leather scroll. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept over the leather scroll and casually looked at it. He found that the cultivation method inside was really not a trivial matter. He did not care about the leather scroll. In his heart, he thought that Meng Yujing was a ruthless woman. Although she said that she wanted to kill her fiancé, her face did not change even half a bit. "You also have some fame in the Falling Star Academy. Since you are engaged to two people at the same time, wouldn't it spread out?" Ning Cheng asked with some doubts. Meng Yujing's face was a bit numb as she spoke, "Because I and Ko Hong were betrothed under my father's arrangement. So the betrothal between me and Chu Ping was done secretly, while the betrothal between me and Ko Hong was done openly." Ning Cheng did not continue to ask. He did not need to ask to know why the Chu clan would agree to such a disgusting thing. The Chu clan also wanted to get a part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from the Ko clan through Meng Yujing. No wonder Meng Yujing had covered her face the last time she met with Chu Ping. Thinking until here, Ning Cheng subconsciously looked at Meng Yujing's chest. Meng Yujing's chest was indeed incomparably proud, but when he thought of this woman being touched by Chu Ping today, and then being touched by Ko Hong tomorrow, he felt a bit nauseous. He had seen with his own eyes that Chu Ping had placed his hand on it. If not for the white-haired old woman pulling him away, he might have been able to see even more of it. Seemingly aware of Ning Cheng's gaze, Meng Yujing's face once again turned white, but she did not continue to speak. Ning Cheng secretly shook his head in his heart, as he took out a package and placed it in front of Meng Yujing and spoke, "This is what Ko Hong wanted me to bring to you, you should have succeeded." His spiritual consciousness had already swept into the black wooden box, and inside it was half of the leather scroll. It should be the same as the half of the leather scroll that Meng Yujing had taken out. As for the storage bag, there were only some garbage pills, a few low-grade spirit stones and a high-grade artifact. When Meng Yujing saw the things that Ning Cheng had taken out, her hands suddenly trembled. She opened the package in front of Ning Cheng. In her opinion, Ning Cheng must have seen these things before. Inside the package was a letter, a black wooden box, and a storage bag. Meng Yujing did not open the wooden box, but tore open the letter, causing a piece of paper and another letter to fall out of the envelope. After reading the contents of the letter, Meng Yujing placed the letter in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng glanced at it, and found that the contents were very simple. Junior apprentice Sister Jing, the Ko clan was plotted against. If you can see this letter, then it means that I am no longer here. The things inside the storage bag, as well as the leather scroll inside the wooden box, are the things that I left for you. You must cultivate well, and do not rush to take revenge for me. The enemies of the Ko clan are very powerful. There is also a letter inside the envelope. You can take that letter to my younger brother Xu. What Ning Cheng did not expect was that Meng Yujing once again tore open the letter for Ko Xu. This time, there was no letter inside, only a very thin jade slip. On the jade slip was a row of small characters, Ko clan's secret book. Other than that, there was nothing else inside. Meng Yujing looked at Ning Cheng. She knew that this jade slip was a drop of blood to read the contents inside. Only by dripping a drop of blood from a member of the Ko family could one see the contents inside. With Meng Yujing's ability, she was still unable to decipher this kind of blood-reading scroll. Ning Cheng casually shot out a few hand seals, causing the surface of the blood drop reading slip to radiate a burst of red light, followed by Ko Hong's voice. "Xun, remember what I said." The two halves of the Ko clan's complete cultivation method were on Meng Yujing. Meng Yujing had come here to swindle the Ko clan's cultivation method. After you get the news, immediately find a way to kill Meng Yujing, take back the Ko clan's complete cultivation method and leave. This woman is incomparably lewd, do not believe any of her words. Brother, Ko Hong. After the sound disappeared, the jade slip also turned into ashes. Ning Cheng shook his head. This kind of thing made him unable to say anything. He reckoned that Meng clan, Ko clan, and Chu clan were plotting against him, but in the end, Meng clan succeeded. Meng Yujing's face was calm, as if she was not affected at all. She opened the wooden box and took out the leather scroll inside. Putting the two leather scrolls together, it immediately formed a complete leather scroll. Meng Yujing picked up the complete cultivation method and suddenly knelt in front of Ning Cheng. "Sect Master Ning, many thanks for helping me find the Meng clan's cultivation method. I am willing to offer this cultivation method to Sect Master Ning." Ning Cheng, on seeing Meng Yujing kneel down, gave a sneer and spoke. "Meng Yujing, you better get up and sit down. Moreover, do not play any tricks in front of me. I am not Chu Ping, nor am I Ko Hong. Regarding your Meng clan's treasured cultivation method, I do not even put it in my eyes, let alone snatch it from you. Now that you have it in your hands, quickly take me to Kong Cheng." Meng Yujing trembled, quickly stood up and spoke, "Yes." At the same time, she put away the two halves of the leather scroll. Even Ning Cheng could not see what kind of mood she was in after obtaining the leather scroll. Ning Cheng's flight-type magical weapon landed in a valley with very ordinary spiritual qi. With the help of Meng Yujing, he was able to see Kong Cheng. Kong Cheng was currently in his own immortal cave, with a similar leather scroll suspended in front of him. However, in Ning Cheng's view, the value of this leather scroll was much higher compared to Meng Yujing's cultivation method. Ning Cheng raised his hand and patted Meng Yujing's shoulder. The spiritual consciousness restriction on Meng Yujing's body was like ice and snow meeting the scorching sun, as it melted away in an instant. Meng Yujing did not expect that this restriction would be so simple in front of Ning Cheng, causing her to feel pleasantly surprised as she once again bowed towards Ning Cheng and spoke, "Many thanks, Sect Master Ning." The spiritual consciousness restriction that had plagued her for several years had finally disappeared. If not for Kong Cheng's restriction with her qualifications, even if she could not advance to the crucible transformation realm, she would at least be a soul sculpting cultivator. How could she still be lingering in the early stages of the soul essence realm? Now that the restriction had been removed, and the Meng clan's cultivation method was also returned, she could finally wholeheartedly cultivate. Who is it? The moment Ning Cheng broke the restriction placed on Kong Cheng immediately became aware of it. He grabbed the leather scroll, and in a flash appeared outside the immortal cave, before landing in front of Ning Cheng and Meng Yujing. "It's you?" Kong Cheng recognized Ning Cheng at a glance, and immediately looked around. Ning Cheng also had the cultivation of Sea Opening Realm, however, he knew that he was definitely not Ning Cheng's opponent. Although he could fight against intermediate stage Sea Opening Realm cultivators with his early stage Sea Opening Realm cultivation, he had heard that Ning Cheng had even killed a late stage Crucible Transformation cultivator, Rong Jin. At this moment, he only had a single thought in his mind, and that was to escape. In his heart, he began to regret not taking into account the factor of Meng Yujing. If not for Meng Yujing, Ning Cheng would never have been able to find this place. "Elder Kong, it's been a long time since we last met. Alas, if I had not run away quickly, we would not have had the opportunity to meet each other today." Ning Cheng spoke with a sigh. Yes. Kong Cheng did not have the mind to care about Ning Cheng's sarcasm. While speaking, he had already thrown out a talisman, while simultaneously retreating, while grabbing the second talisman in his hand. However, just as he moved, he felt that something was wrong. The surrounding area seemed to have made it impossible for him to cast any magical techniques. Not waiting for him to come up with a countermeasure, a fist shadow had already arrived. Bang! A bloody mist burst out. Kong Cheng did not even have the leeway to resist, before Ning Cheng's punch killed him. Moreover, the talisman that he brought out was still rotating in the air, without any intention of activating it. Chapter 440. Meng Yujing stared blankly at Kong Cheng, who had turned into a mist of blood, and was unable to react for a long time. Kong Cheng was an early-stage Sea Opening Realm cultivator. Even a Crucible Transformation cultivator would not be able to kill him so easily. Farewell. Kong Cheng's leather scroll had always been on his mind since many years ago. Now that he got his revenge and obtained the leather scroll, Ning Cheng was in a very good mood. After saying a few words to Meng Yujing, he brought out a flight-type magical weapon and was about to leave. "Sect Master Ning, have you not returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect?" Meng Yujing, on seeing Ning Cheng take away Kong Cheng's things, and in a hurry to leave, quickly asked. Ning Cheng was in a good mood as he casually spoke. "Yes, I have not returned to the sect for a long time, because I occasionally saw you. I discovered the spiritual consciousness restriction placed on you by Kong Cheng." If he had not seen the restriction placed on Meng Yujing by Kong Cheng, then even if Ning Cheng saw Meng Yujing, he would not necessarily look for her. Now that he knew the news about Kong Cheng, he absolutely could not let it go. Not to mention that Kong Pengpeng might have been harmed by Kong Cheng. Even he himself was looking for this Kong Cheng. Now that he found his trail, how could he let it go? "Sect Master Ning, you might not know what happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect." Meng Yujing's words were directly interrupted by Ning Cheng. "What happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect?" Meng Yujing quickly spoke up. After Sect Master Ning went missing, there were rumors that Sect Master Ning plotted against Dao Master Mu Ziming and Dao Master Xiao Bixing. Later, the Heavenly Dao Academy, the Red Star Sword faction, and the Yin-Yang Dao sect joined forces with many smaller academies to besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Good, Xiao Bisheng, you actually taught these garbage disciples and grand disciples. Ning Qing cursed, what happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? The Rainbow Fall Sword sect gave the sect's most valuable treasure, the Perception Pagoda, to the Yin-Yang Dao sect, before persuading the Heavenly Dao Academy to leave. Finally, they clashed with the Red Star Sword faction. This battle was very fierce, with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect losing 2 Crucible Transformation cultivators, as well as many cultivators below the Sea Opening Realm. The cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction who went to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect were completely annihilated. After this battle, the Red Star Sword faction became a lot more low-key. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect also kept a low profile and did not continue to seek revenge from the Red Star Sword faction. After that, 30 Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Yixing mainland went to the Heaven's Way, while 10 people from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect went there at once. Meng Yujing, on seeing Ning Cheng's extremely ugly complexion, subconsciously stopped. Red Star Sword faction, good, you've bullied my Rainbow Fall Sword sect a few times already. Ning Qing did not continue to ask Meng Yujing about it. He even put away his true artifact airship. Stimulating the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Even the Perception Pagoda and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had so many Crucible Transformation cultivators, Ning Qing did not even bother to ask about it. He just wanted to go back and see his little sister Rulin and Lufei. This area belongs to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's academy area. Would you like to wander around this area? A cultivator with the cultivation of intermediate stage Profound Core Realm stopped 3 cultivators with the same cultivation of Profound Core Realm. Is this the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? How come I don't know about it? The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's mountain protecting Grand Array is still some distance away from here, right? The one who spoke was a thick-lipped male cultivator. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator's complexion turned somewhat ugly. The few of you, if we wander around the vicinity of the Yin-Yang Dao sect, would you stop us? Do you dare? Another cultivator retorted disdainfully. You. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator felt so angry that he could not even speak. At this time, a calm voice arrived. Since these people dare to wander around the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's academy area, then there is no need to speak any nonsense, just kill them. The 4 people turned their heads at the same time, and did not know when a young male cultivator had appeared near them. Sect Master? The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator called out in surprise. He knew who Ning Qing was. When Sect Master Ning was at the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he was still an outer sect disciple in the Essence Building realm. He had always said that Sect Master Ning had gone to Heaven's Way, but he did not expect that Sect Master Ning would actually come back. Ning Qing nodded and spoke to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator. Just do as I say. Yes, Sect Master. This Profound Core cultivator was well aware that he was not a match for these 3 people, but since Sect Master Ning had returned, he did not hesitate to bring out his magical weapon. The 3 Profound Core cultivators from the Yin-Yang Dao sect turned pale with fright. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, the thick-lipped cultivator with the highest cultivation among the 3 quickly spoke up. Sect Master Ning, we will leave now. My Yin-Yang Dao sect and your esteemed academy have always been friendly. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator looked at Ning Qing. If Sect Master Ning knew that the other party was from the Yin-Yang Dao sect, what would he do if he went back on his word? Ning Qing did not speak again, and just shook his head. If it were him, then facing these 3 arrogant Profound Core cultivators, and even if the Sect Master had spoken, he would not hesitate to kill them. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core cultivator finally understood Ning Cheng's meaning, and completely stimulated the magical weapon in his hand. He believed that even if he was not an opponent for the other party, Sect Master Ning would not stand by and watch. However, he soon discovered that something was wrong. These 3 Yin-Yang Dao sect's Profound Core disciples were just like idiots. They simply stood there motionless, allowing him to easily kill the 3 of them. Sect Master? After this profound core cultivator killed the 3 Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples, he discovered that Ning Qing had already disappeared. He quickly picked up the 3 rings, brought out a flight-type magical weapon, and rushed towards the academy. The sect master had returned. This was definitely a major event for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ning Qing stood outside his immortal cave with a livid expression, while Lianyi, Yang Honghua, Nen Yuefeng, Zhuang Jingyi and the others stood beside him. He had already heard the details of the situation from the mouths of Lianyi and the others. In the past, when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction fought, although they managed to kill all the cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect also suffered heavy losses. The newly advanced Crucible Transformation cultivator Hu Hong had fallen, but what made Ning Qing even angrier was that Sun Hanrui had also fallen. Sun Hanrui was Ning Qing's best friend in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Apart from Liang Kursin, she was also the closest to him. Such a delicate and lovely girl, who had just advanced to the Crucible Transformation realm, unexpectedly fell under the siege of the Red Star Sword faction. The good news was that Meng Jingxiu had found the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and brought with her a lot of cultivation resources. The Perception Pagoda was brought by Meng Jingxiu. Rulin and Luofei had also entered the Perception Pagoda, which allowed them to advance to the Crucible Transformation realm. The reason why the Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples dared to wander back and forth in the vicinity was to provoke the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. As long as the Rainbow Fall Sword sect started, they would be able to find a reason to come knocking on their door. The main reason was because of the Perception Pagoda that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had sent out. The Perception Pagoda that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect sent out was completely useless, causing the Yin-Yang Dao sect to think that they had been deceived and wanted to come back again. However, he came back a few years late. 5 years ago, after the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction clashed. Ning Ruolin, Luo Ziyan, Ke Hongshui, Zhang Qian, Liang Shi, Tai Shu Pingho, Xian Caishue, Liang Kursin and Meng Jingxiu all went to Heaven's Way. Coupled with Rui Baishan going to Heaven's Way, the total number of Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect who went to Heaven's Way was 11. The only good news was that Ji Luofei did not go to Heaven's Way. She and Ning Ruolin had already discussed it. One would go to Heaven's Way to look for him, while the other would stay in the Tian continent to look for him. Only Ruolin and dozens of Crucible Transformation cultivators went to Heaven's Way together, which made Ning Qing feel a bit relieved. It was because Ji Luofei had gone out to look for him for 2 years and had yet to return to the sect. A few more lights descended on the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ning Qing had already recognized the 2 people, Tan Tai Fei and Zhong Liping. Ning Qing, you really came back. I knew that you would come back to the sect before going to Heaven's Way. Zhong Liping's voice arrived with a laugh. Tan Tai Fei was more worldly than Zhong Liping. When he saw Ning Qing's expression, he knew that Ning Qing was worried about his little sister and fiancé. He quickly stepped forward and spoke, Sect Master Ning, you don't have to worry. I have already sent out a message. Junior apprentice Sister Ji will soon return to the sect. Many thanks to Sect Master Tantai for taking care of my Rainbow Fall Sword Peak during my absence. Ning Qing had already heard from the mouths of the others that Tan Tai Fei had taken care of his Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Therefore, he specifically thanked Tan Tai Fei. Tan Tai Fei spoke up, Sect Master Ning, we are all from the same lineage of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. This is our duty. After a pause, he continued, Junior apprentice Sister Ruolin went to Heaven's Way. You don't have to worry about it. Sect Master Ray went to Heaven's Way a long time ago. He will look after the disciples of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Regarding his little sister going to Heaven's Way first, it would be a lie if Ning Qing said that he was not worried. However, cultivation ultimately depended on one's own hard work. It would not be good for her to always stay by his side. His little sister Ruolin going to Heaven's Way alone was also a kind of experience for her. I really did not expect that Sect Master Ray would go to Heaven's Way so early. Knowing that Rui Baishan had already gone to Heaven's Way, Ning Qing also gave out a sigh. Zhong Liping gave out a sigh and spoke, Baishan went to look for the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. According to Baishan's speculations, Jia San took the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword to Heaven's Way. This sword is the symbol of my rainbow fall sword sect, a treasure that suppresses the destiny of the sect. Since Baishan lost this sword in his hands, he definitely would not feel at ease. He has always wanted to take back this sword. After Ning Qing came out from the place where he was trapped, he immediately got busy with a variety of things. It was not until Zhong Liping mentioned the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword did he remember about this matter. He quickly took out a rainbow-like long sword from his ring and handed it to Zhong Liping with both hands before speaking, "Elder Taoist Zhong, I killed Jia San and took back the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword." Chapter 441. Zhong Liping absolutely did not think that Ning Qing would take out the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword. Not to mention that he did not think about it, even Tan Tai Fei, who came with him, did not think about it. The importance of the yonder immortal rainbow fall sword to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was something that any of the elders of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect knew about. Without the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect, it could be said that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had lost its imposing manner and symbol. A faction without imposing manner, being bullied by others, causing its destiny to fall, it was also normal. However, the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword that he had lost today had once again returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Moreover, it even appeared in front of him, causing Zhong Liping to find it hard to accept. "Sect Master Ning, thank you, thank you." Zhong Liping trembled as he caressed the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword's blade. This sword was simply too important to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. At this moment, no one could understand Zhong Liping's mood. Even he had changed the way he addressed Ning Qing. Previously, he had addressed Ning Qing by his name, not because he did not respect Ning Qing, but because of his seniority in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now that he addressed Ning Qing as Sect Master Ning, it was not because of anything else, but because he truly felt grateful to Ning Qing from the bottom of his heart. He was grateful to this young sect master for allowing the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword to return to the sect. Tan Tai Fei also gave an excited bow towards Ning Qing. "Sect Master Ray did not misread you. You are the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master." Although this sentence was very strange, but Ning Qing understood the meaning behind Tan Tai Fei's words. Now that he brought back the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword, its effect on the entire Rainbow Fall Sword sect was simply indescribable. Ning Qing supported Tan Tai Fei and spoke once again. "I request Elder Taoist Zhong to once again place the Rainbow Fall Sword in the Rainbow Fall Sword peak, so that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect can once again return to its peak." Zhong Liping let go of the hand that was caressing the Rainbow Fall Sword, but still spoke up with an excited tone. "Sect Master Ning, this sword should have been placed there by you. You are the sect master, and it was you who brought back the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect." Ning Qing felt moved in his heart. When he came back, he could feel that the status of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect at this moment was much lower than when he had first arrived at the Tian continent. Why didn't he take this opportunity to establish his prestige for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Thinking of this, Ning Qing put away the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword and spoke. "Elder Taoist Zhong, Sect Master Tantai, this is what I think. After I bring back Luffy, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect will hold a big event. Taking advantage of this grand event, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect will once again erect the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. I also want to hold a wedding ceremony with Lu." "Good, this is great news." Tan Tai Fei immediately clapped his hands and said. He knew that Ning Qing wanted to go to Heaven's Way, but before going to Heaven's Way, Ning Qing wanted to cheer for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. With the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's prestige rising, the Yin Yang Dao sect would never dare to use such petty tricks again. "Big Brother Ning, leave this matter to me and Senior Apprentice Sister Lian." Nan Yuefang quickly spoke up. She had been living with Luofei at the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. She understood Senior Apprentice Sister Luofei's feelings for Ning Qing too well. It was something that could not be replaced by anything. She also wanted to help Senior Apprentice Sister Luofei and make Luofei happy. "Then I will have to trouble Junior Apprentice Sister Yuefang and Junior Apprentice Sister Lian." Ning Qing quickly thanked them. Tan Fei also nodded and spoke. For Yuefang and Liani to handle this matter, it would be for the best. However, this time we killed a few disciples from the Yin Yang Dao sect who provoked us. I estimate that they would soon find an excuse to come over. Ning Qing showed a faint smile. I'm afraid that they would not come. Yes, I'm afraid that they would not come. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Tan Fei suddenly put down his worries and laughed. In the past, when Ning Cheng was not in the sect, he dared to fight against the Red Star Sword faction with his Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now that Ning Cheng had returned, how could he turn timid? Ning Cheng once again spoke up. I'm going to the Red Star Sword faction soon, and should be back soon. No, although the strength of the Red Star Sword faction is a lot weaker, it is not much weaker than my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. You can't go alone. Zhong Liping understood Ning Cheng's meaning and immediately retorted. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm and cold voice. Junior apprentice Sister Hanrui died at the hands of the Red Star Sword faction. How can I let go of this sect? In fact, the moment he learned that Sun Hanrui had fallen, Ning Cheng almost went to the Red Star Sword faction on the spot. If he had the strength, he would have gone to destroy the Red Star Sword faction in the past. How could he have waited until today? It was because he did not destroy the Red Star Sword faction in the past, which led to junior apprentice Sister Hanrui's death. Zhong Liping and Tan Fei could hear that although Ning Cheng's tone was calm, it contained an intense murderous intent that could not be stopped. Tan Fei was very clear that Ning Cheng and Sun Hanrui had a good relationship. Hearing these words, he could only sigh and speak. Hu Hong's corporeal body is gone, but Hanrui's corporeal body is still in the sect. You can go and take a look at it. Junior apprentice Sister Hanrui's corporeal body is still there? Ning Cheng asked in shock. Tan Fei nodded. Yes, but her soul has already flown away. Zhong Liping on seeing Ning Cheng silent once again spoke up. Red Star Sword faction? Not waiting for Zhong Liping to finish his words, Ning Cheng took the initiative to interrupt Zhong Liping's words. Elder Taoist Zhong, since I can kill Jiashir San, I do not fear the Red Star Sword faction. Zhong Liping felt his heart move. That's right. If Ning Cheng did not have the strength, how could he have killed Jiashir San? Moreover, in the past at the Heavenly Dao Public Square, Ning Cheng had killed Rong Jin, a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator. A few decades have passed. How could he know what Ning Cheng's strength was? Thinking of this, Zhong Liping no longer tried to persuade him, and spoke. In that case, you should be careful. If there is any trouble, as long as you stay alive, it would be fine. Also, my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's ancestral cultivation method, the Rainbow Fall 9 Revolutions, is contained within the Rainbow Fall Sword. If you have the time, you can study it. Yes, many thanks for Elder Taoist Zhong's reminder. Elder Taoist Zhong can rest assured. Ning Cheng finished, before sending off Zhong Liping and Tan Fei, who were both happy and worried, out of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. When the crowd slowly dispersed, Ning Cheng returned to his immortal cave. After he left, Ji Lufei had been living in the immortal cave. As soon as Ning Cheng entered his residence, he saw a jade box on the table. He stepped forward and opened the jade box. Inside the jade box was a love knot, with Ji Luofei's spiritual soul imprint on it. When Ning Cheng grabbed the love knot, he immediately sensed Ji Luofei's position. He immediately rushed out of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, eager to see Ji Luofei immediately. On a reef island close to the Tian continent in the Yixing Ocean, Ji Luofei, wearing a blue robe, stood on a reef. In front of her was a man covered with an aura of water. Beside this man, there was also an iron-backed seal. Get out of the way. Ji Luofei spoke in a very concise tone. In the past few years, she had traveled to many places and had already been in the Yixing Ocean for more than 3 months. This man covered with an aura of water gave an evil smile. I would like to invite you to my immortal cave. I believe that you will be satisfied. I have the best Yixing Ocean's spiritual wine, as well as the best flight-type magical weapons, as well as the best cultivation environment. Ji Luofei was just about to speak when she suddenly grabbed a love knot. When she felt Ning Cheng's aura on the love knot, her face immediately turned red with excitement. Did your Dao companion send you a message? I helped you intercept a few messages a moment ago, but I did not expect you to have a love knot. Tiske, I really envy you. The man with the aura of water spoke. Ji Luofei's heart had already flown to Ning Cheng's side, so how could she have the leisure to talk with this man? His figure flashed, and he disappeared from the reef island. But soon, her figure once again descended, and in front of her once again appeared the man with the aura of water. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. I said that I would invite you to drink spiritual wine, so you must go. After drinking the spiritual wine, you can go wherever you want to go. After the man stopped Jiluf, he did not make a move, but just patted the red ruler in his hand. Tove clenched the long sword in her hand, as she spoke in an ice-cold tone. My husband. Stop. Do you want to compare backgrounds? Then let me say it first. If my father goes to the Heavenly Tao Academy, then even the Heavenly Tao Academy's Tao Master would have to come out to greet him. So don't try to compare backgrounds behind me, otherwise I will also kill your husband and feed him to the fishes. The man finally became impatient. If not for Ji Luofei's stunning beauty, he really did not want to waste so much time. Ji Luofei, who was still enduring on hearing that the opposite party wanted to kill Ning Cheng and feed him to the fishes, immediately turned angry. The long sword in her hand transformed into a sword light, while at the same time, a ribbon also rolled up a wave of true essence walls. Ji Luofei was only at the crucible transformation first level, so even if she made the first move, in the face of a crucible transformation fourth level cultivator who spent most of his time in the Yixing Ocean, there was still a huge gap between them. Her sword lights, under the attack of the opposite party's magical weapon, could not even block for half an hour, before turning chaotic. Boom! Several powerful red lights exploded onto the true essence wall that Ji Luofei had erected using the seven-colored glaze, directly causing a huge crack to appear on the true essence wall. Ji Luofei was also sent flying by the powerful true essence attack. After this male cultivator blasted away Ji Luofei, he immediately rushed forward, while simultaneously raising his hand to grab Ji Luofei. Although Ji Luofei could not beat this crucible transformation fourth level male cultivator, it was still not enough for her to be blasted away so quickly. At the same time that she flew out, she had already stepped onto her flying sword, before rushing out of the reef island like a meteor. The male cultivator covered in water immediately understood that he had fallen into a trap. This female cultivator had clearly deliberately allowed him to send her flying. Even in the hands of this Yu Dongqing, you still want to escape? The man snorted, while a white light suddenly appeared under his feet. At the same time, this white light rushed towards Ji Luofei along with the man. Although Ji Luofei had the upper hand compared to Yu Dongqing, she soon discovered that her speed was far inferior to Yu Dongqing's. Even if she tried her best to escape, in less than half an hour, Yu Dongqing would still be able to catch up to her. Ji Luofei felt anxious in her heart, but there was nothing she could do. She still had a talisman. It was an escape talisman given to her by senior apprentice Sister Jing Xiu. However, she did not want to use it. If she used this talisman, she would most likely end up teleporting to the Lu continent. Moreover, she was about to meet Ning Cheng, so how could she use this talisman? Ji Luofei felt anxious in her heart, but Ning Cheng also felt anxious in his heart. After he sensed Ji Luofei's position, he immediately sped up. In the beginning, he only felt excited in his heart. But soon, he felt that something was wrong. Ji Luofei's anxiety was expressed through the heart knot. Luofei seemed to have encountered something dangerous. Feeling that Luofei was in danger, Ning Cheng did not care about anything else. He immediately activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to a state of vibration. With each vibration, he would disappear from the spot. This twin wings of the heavenly clouds, which consumed an extreme amount of true essence, was being used by Ning Cheng to speed up his journey. Chapter 442. Ji Luofei was just about to return and fight with Yu Dongqing when she suddenly felt that Yu Dongqing had stopped. Yu Dongqing was about to catch up with her. Why did he stop? Ji Luofei's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon saw Ning Cheng getting closer and closer like a shadow. Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei was so happy that she could not even take a single step forward. It was as if her entire body was about to melt. The next moment, she found herself in Ning Cheng's arms. That anxiety instantly disappeared without a trace, and she didn't even want to say a word. At this moment, the silence was better than 1,000 words, better than all movements. "Don't worry, I'm back." When Ning Cheng's soft voice resounded in Ji Luofei's ears, she had already forgotten about Yu Dongqing behind her, not to mention worrying about him. Yu Dongqing coldly stared at Ning Cheng. He could feel an extreme sense of danger. Ji Luofei was frantically escaping in front of him and was not aware of Ning Cheng's sudden appearance. However, he was aware of it. This cultivator had an intense murderous intent. Moreover, this murderous intent was directed at him, causing him to not dare to continue chasing after Ji Luofei. Yu Dongqing spent most of his time in the Yi Xing Ocean killing. Although he was only at the Crucible Transformation 4th level, but his strength and sensitivity to danger was far stronger than the average Crucible Transformation cultivators. Ning Cheng looked like he was only at the intermediate stages of the Sea Opening realm. However, he felt as if he was facing someone above the Crucible Transformation realm. "Are you her husband?" Although Yu Dongqing felt some fear towards Ning Cheng, but he was not afraid of him. "Luofei, you stay on the side to help me. I'm going to kill this fellow." Ning Cheng did not answer Yu Dongqing's words at all. Instead, he gently patted Ji Luofei in his arms. The originally somewhat fearful Yu Dongqing's complexion immediately turned ugly, as he spoke out in a cold voice. "I, Yu Dongqing, have roamed the Yi Xing Ocean for countless years, yet I have never seen such an arrogant sea-opening cultivator like you. Even I, Yu Dongqing, have to find a random reason to kill someone. Do you think you're invincible? We'll deal with him together." Ji Luofei knew that this Yu Dongqing was extremely powerful. Moreover, it was not the first or second time that she had encountered danger in the outside world. After years of training, her strength was not as weak as it looked on the surface. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "No need." While speaking, the Nirvana spear shot out a spear shadow towards Yu Dongqing. Reason? With Yu Dongqing chasing after Luofei, he had more than 10,000 reasons to kill Yu Dongqing. Seeing Ning Cheng shooting his spear at him, Yu Dongqing's complexion turned ugly to the extreme. Raising the red jade tablet in his hands, it immediately turned into waves of red lines, while the monstrous beast iron-backed seal beside him also rushed towards Ning Cheng. However, in just a breath's time, Yu Dongqing's expression changed. He felt that the surrounding space no longer belonged to this world. To be exact, he had a feeling that the space around him belonged to the other party, and he found it difficult to even turn around in the other party's space. He had countless methods, but in this space he couldn't use them at all. A tearing sound resounded, as Ning Cheng's long spear directly pierced through the head of the iron-backed seal, causing the incomparably powerful iron-backed seal to turn into a bloody mist. At this moment, Yu Dongqing borrowed the iron-backed seal's obstruction and rushed out of the terrifying spatial shackles. Domain. Yu Dongqing's face was filled with horror. A lot of Crucible Transformation cultivators might not necessarily understand what a domain was, but he understood it. Moreover, his inheritance was on a much higher level compared to the inheritances of some of the major academies. "Stop." Yu Dongqing no longer cared about anything else and quickly called out. Ning Cheng acted as if he did not hear anything, as the long spear once again transformed into a group of spear shadows, which shot towards Yu Dongqing. He was somewhat dissatisfied with his spear techniques. Apart from the move that he had comprehended in the Thunder City, he did not have any particularly good spear techniques. Using that kind of spear intent to deal with a Crucible Transformation 4th level cultivator was just too wasteful. Feeling Ning Cheng's strong killing intent, Yu Dongqing knew that it was impossible for Ning Cheng to stop at this time. He gave out a loud hissing sound as the red ruler once again turned into a line of lines. However, this time the lines were several times thicker than before. At the same time, a white light once again appeared under his feet. This white light exploded, and in a twinkling of an eye, it turned into a white wave several feet high. These white waves rushed towards Ning Cheng, unexpectedly blocking the domain that Ning Cheng had not yet grasped. No wonder Ji Luofei could not stop this fellow. This fellow was not inferior to Rong Jin by much. The more powerful the opponent, the more powerful the killing intent in Ning Cheng's heart became. The spear intent exploded out, directly passing through Yu Dongqing's red lines. Bursts of true essence erupted in the air, causing Yu Dongqing's red lines to turn chaotic before quickly dissipating into nothingness. At the same time, Ning Cheng's domain-like aura blocked the several feet-long wave that Yu Dongqing had created, causing the water to splash everywhere. Yu Dongqing no longer dared to continue fighting with Ning Cheng. He knew that he could not escape from Ning Cheng, but at this time, he had no choice but to escape. The white light under his feet had just lit up when the Nirvana spear once again shot towards him. Yu Dongqing had no choice but to bring out the Hongge to block it once again. The 6 small axes turned into a black axe line as they shot towards him. In just a blink of an eye, they had already arrived in front of his glabella. Stop! Another loud roar erupted. However, Ning Cheng's axe line did not show even half a shred of hesitation because of this roar. It directly cut through Yu Dongqing's glabella. Yu Dongqing's entire body exploded, causing a faintly discernible life essence to overflow in panic. Not waiting for Ning Cheng's flames to completely incinerate this life essence, a black shadow had already collected this life essence. Expert, this was definitely an expert. This black shadow had not even approached this place, yet it had already collected Yu Dongqing's life essence. Ning Cheng immediately understood that this person was a powerful opponent, many times more powerful than Yu Dongqing. In fact, this person was not even inferior to Jiashi San. Ning Cheng did not continue to attack. Holding the Nirvana spear, he stepped onto the waves and quietly watched the black shadow in front of him slowly solidify. In just a blink of an eye, this black shadow turned into a black-robed, black-haired middle-aged man. This friend truly has a powerful skill. This Yu had only seen such a powerful move from Dao Master Su Anjin. This Yu was ignorant and did not know that my Yi Xing Ocean had such a powerful expert like this friend. May I ask for this friend's name? After this black-robed middle-aged man collected Yu Dongqing's life essence, he did not immediately attack Ning Cheng. Instead, he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei had already arrived at Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng had killed Rong Jin in the past, so she did not feel surprised that he was able to kill a Crucible Transformation 4th level cultivator. Ning Cheng, on hearing this middle-aged male cultivator mention Su Anjin, immediately understood that this person should be on the same level as Su Anjin. Ning Cheng did not immediately start and calmly spoke up, "My name is Ning Cheng, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master." "So it is Sect Master Ning, no wonder you are so powerful. I have always been in the Yi Xing Ocean and missed the opportunity to meet Sect Master Ning." Yu Haishi's face showed a hint of understanding. He did not know how many times he had heard the name Ning Cheng, but he had never seen Ning Cheng in person. Ning Cheng wanted to say that he could also meet him now. However, the other party had not shown any intention of starting a fight. Moreover, the other party also spoke in a polite manner. As such, Ning Cheng also did not take the initiative to attack. "Sect Master Ning, the one whose corporeal body you destroyed a moment ago, along with his life essence and soul, was my only son, Yu Dongqing. I know that my son has always been arrogant and doesn't speak much. I wonder how he offended Sect Master Ning?" Although Yu Haishi's tone was still polite, one could easily understand the meaning behind it. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice. "My wife, Luofei, was looking for me in the Yi Xing Ocean. If I had come a little later, I'm afraid that I would not have been able to see her. Therefore, you don't need to speak any nonsense. I just destroyed his corporeal body, and now I want to ask you for his life essence." Yu Haishi had come a little late, as such he did not know what had happened. If it were an ordinary cultivator who destroyed his son's corporeal body, why would he even speak any nonsense? He would have long since destroyed it. Although he was easy to talk to, he still had to look at the other party. Ning Cheng was the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master. Just a moment ago, he had also felt Ning Cheng's killing power, which was definitely not any worse than his own. Even he might not necessarily be Ning Cheng's opponent. He had lived in the Yi Xing Ocean all year round. As such, his strength was not inferior to that of an ordinary Crucible Transformation cultivator. However, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's strength was still much stronger than his. Moreover, it was obvious that Yu Dongqing did not have any reason to act in this matter. Ning Cheng was a sect master, while Yu Dongqing, who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, actually dared to have ideas about Ning Cheng's Tao companion. He knew that his son was arrogant in the Yixing Ocean, and that one day something would happen to him, but he did not think that his guess would not be wrong. He pondered for a moment. If he and Ning Cheng were to fight, then he would only have a 50% chance of winning. Moreover, this was just his consideration. As for whether or not Ning Cheng still had any cards up his sleeves, he did not know about it. In this way, his chances of winning had dropped by another 10%. Besides, Ning Cheng was still young and full of vigor, which could be seen from the things he had done. Who knew if he would summon all the experts from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to the Yixing Ocean and directly destroy his Yu Ocean Palace? What's more, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect also had a character that he feared even more, Rui Baishan. Thinking of this, Yu Haishi once again cupped his fists and spoke, "Sect Master Ning, this matter is my son's fault. Fortunately, Sect Master Ning has already taught him a lesson. If my son's primordial spirit is taken away as well, with the strength of my Yu Ocean Palace, we won't be able to save him. I only have this one son, so I hope that Sect Master Ning can give me some face. My Yu Ocean Palace is willing to bear part of the losses." This was because Yu Haishi was confident that he could restore Yu Dongqing's body. If Ning Cheng still did not want to, then he would have no choice but to fight. Even if he was not as good as Ning Cheng, it would not be easy for Ning Cheng to kill him in the Yixing Ocean. Ning Cheng did not immediately answer. Yu Haishi's words could be said to be a sign of weakness. He had destroyed Yu Dongqing's corporeal body, yet Yu Haishi did not immediately take action. Instead, he tried to negotiate with him, which showed that the other party did not want to fight with him. Rather, he wanted to resolve this matter in a very sincere manner. He did not care about fighting with Yu Haishi. Even if he ended up in a fight, he did not fear the other party. He remained silent because he heard Yu Haishi's words. That is, if Yu Dongqing did not have his primordial spirit, the Yu Ocean Palace would not have the strength to save him. In other words, if there was a place more powerful than the Yu Ocean Palace, then even if he did not have his primordial spirit, he could still save him. Ning Cheng's mind immediately moved. Sun Hanrui only had her corporeal body, without her primordial spirit. If there was a way to save her, then he must find a way. Chapter 443. Palace Master Yu, from what I heard from your words, if one's soul disperses, then is there still a possibility of being saved? Ning Cheng's tone softened. If one wanted to ask for something, then they would have to show some sincerity. Yu Haishi was an old man who had lived for many years. As soon as Ning Cheng asked that question, he immediately understood what was going on. This person wanted to ask him, as long as he told Ning Cheng about it, then presumably with the other party's status, he would not continue to pester this matter. After understanding this point, Yu Haishi immediately replied, "There is such a saying, but it is extremely difficult. At least in the Yixing mainland, there is no way to save it. I only know a little about it from ancient rumors. I don't know if Sect Master Ning knows about past lives, present lives, reincarnation and reincarnation? I've heard about it." Ning Cheng replied without hesitation. He did not believe in such a thing before. But the fact was that this kind of thing had happened to him. There was no need to doubt it. Seeing Ning Cheng had heard about it, Yu Haishi nodded. In fact, when a cultivator is killed, once their life essence or soul is destroyed, then even reincarnation would be impossible. Generally speaking, when anyone dies, as long as their spiritual soul is not destroyed, then they would be able to find a chance to reincarnate. If you can find the spiritual soul of the fallen cultivator, then there is a way to resurrect the soul. Of course, this is just a rumor, at least I have not seen it. Ning Cheng understood the meaning of Yu Haishi's words. Life essence and soul were slightly different. For ordinary people, even for cultivators below the soul essence realm, after death, most of their spiritual souls would fall into unconsciousness. This was the soul. But once they advanced to the soul essence realm, they would have a life essence. The life essence had its own consciousness. Even if the corporeal body was destroyed, it could find a way to restore its own corporeal body. When he met Fang Jian and the two fellows in the ring, they all had their own life essence. When a cultivator's soul disperses, if the soul is really destroyed, then even if one has great skills, it would be impossible to save it. If it is only the soul or life essence that is destroyed, then there is still a chance to save it. If the cultivator had a corporeal body, then by preserving the remnant soul consciousness in the corporeal body, and then finding the shattered life essence, coupled with some spiritual objects, there would basically be a chance, but this is just a rumor. As for what kind of spiritual objects would be useful, I do not know. Yu Haishi spoke cautiously. Ning Cheng's strength, as well as the strength behind Ning Cheng, made him feel a lot of fear. Does the corporeal body still have a remnant soul consciousness after it falls? Ning Cheng had always thought that after the soul dissipated, the corporeal body would just be a body without any consciousness. Otherwise, even if the soul is destroyed, the physical body will still have a trace of soul consciousness left. However, once the soul is destroyed, the remnant soul consciousness will never be able to awaken. In the end, it will disappear along with the physical body, Yu Haishi said with certainty. Then how to preserve the remnant soul consciousness of the corporeal body? This was what Ning Cheng was most concerned about. Yu Haishi spoke up helplessly. Only the underworld soul flower. If the underworld soul flower is placed on a dead body, not only can it preserve the remnant soul consciousness, but it can also nourish the soul. However, this kind of thing only exists in the legends. Although his son, Yu Dongqing, had lost his fleshly body, his primordial spirit was still there. The treasures of Yusi Palace could help his son rebuild his fleshly body. Listening to Ning Cheng's words, he understood that it was only his corporeal body, but not his life essence, which was much more serious than his son's situation. Ning Cheng, on hearing it, felt happy in his heart. He just happened to have the underworld soul flower. Today's conversation with Palace Master Yu, the harvest was not small. For the sake of Palace Master Yu's face, Yu Dongqing's matter will end here, but if there is a next time, then don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Yu Haishi felt happy in his heart as he quickly cupped his fists and spoke. If there is a next time, then Sect Master Ning does not need to do anything, I will end it myself. His son suffering this kind of disaster, maybe it was a good thing. Although the treasures used to rebuild his body made him feel distressed, who told him to only have one son. Lufei, let's go. Ning Cheng embraced Ji Lufei before his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Yu Haishi's complexion changed on seeing this. He did not expect Ning Cheng to have the twin heavenly cloud wings. If he added this, then if he fought with Ning Cheng, his odds of winning would once again drop by 10%. Fortunately, he did not fight with this sect Master Ning. Otherwise, his Yusi Palace might really end up dead. Father. After Ning Cheng left, Yu Dongqing's weak voice came out. Yu Haishi's complexion sank. I have already told you, even in the Yixing Ocean, do not be arrogant. If not for your father coming here today, your spiritual soul would have long since perished. That Ning Cheng has a fierce reputation. When he was still in the soul essence realm, he dared to rush into the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Even Su Anjin could not do anything to him, yet you actually dared to find trouble with him. You are simply courting death. I did not know that woman was Ning Cheng's Dao companion. Yu Dongqing's words were once again interrupted by Yu Haishi. Shut up, go back and reflect on yourself. Ruolin went to Heaven's Way, I will stay here. Ji Luofei's excited mood finally calmed down a bit. Since Ning Cheng did not go to Heaven's Way, then Ruolin would definitely not be able to find Ning Cheng. If she had known about this earlier, she would have told Ruolin not to go. Fortunately, she did not go to Heaven's Way. I know, Ruolin and many of her fellow disciples went to Heaven's Way together. Sect Master Ray is also there, so we can take care of each other. After I take care of the things here, we can also go to Heaven's Way. Ning Cheng comforted her. Ji Lufei didn't ask why Ning Cheng hadn't come back for all these years. For her, as long as Ning Cheng came back, everything would be fine. Where are we going now? Red Star Sword Faction. The Red Star Sword Faction was established above the Red Star River, and from afar, it looked as if it was floating above a silver ribbon. Even if the Red Star Sword Faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had fought against each other several times, causing their strength to drop by a lot, it still remained a major faction. Since the war with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect a few years ago, the Red Star Sword faction had become a lot more low-key. Although the mountain was not sealed, the Great Mountain Guarding Array was always in a half-closed state. Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei had just arrived outside the Red Star Sword faction when someone immediately stopped them. "Get out of the way, this is the territory of the Red Star Sword faction, anyone who approaches will be killed." Generally speaking, visitors to the Red Star Sword faction would have to go to the External Affairs relay station outside to submit a visiting card. However, Ning Cheng had directly barged in, which obviously showed that he was an uninvited guest. Ning Cheng brought out his Nirvana spear and swept it out. The two disciples who tried to stop Ning Cheng immediately turned into a blood mist. Perhaps these two disciples had never been to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. However, the Red Star Sword faction had already provoked Ning Cheng's bottom line. Sun Hanrui had already fallen. If Ji Luofei fell, or his sister Ning Rulan fell, or even more people fell, it would be too late for him to regret it. The Red Star Sword faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect originally did not have much hatred between them. However, they had repeatedly tried to destroy the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Not to mention that Ning Cheng now had the strength. Even if he did not have the strength, he would not have given up. This time, he came here with the intent to destroy the Red Star Sword faction. Boom. After instantly killing the two guarding disciples, Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear struck the Red Star Sword faction's Mountain Guarding Grand Array. The Mountain Guarding Grand Array gave out a burst of tremors, causing the entire Red Star Sword faction's alarm to ring out. Someone is attacking the Mountain Guarding Grand Array. The cries instantly spread throughout the Red Star Sword faction. The Red Star Sword faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect were different. When the Rainbow Fall Sword sect sealed the mountain, someone had already attacked it. However, since the establishment of the Red Star Sword faction, no one had dared to attack the Mountain Guarding Grand Array. For a time, countless lights flew towards the entrance of the Grand Array. The Mountain Guarding Grand Array was generally very solid. If a Crucible Transformation cultivator wanted to break through the Academy's Mountain Guarding Grand Array, they would have to spend a considerable amount of time to do so. However, this time, the one attacking the Mountain Guarding Grand Array was Ning Cheng, an expert proficient in array formations. The Red Star Sword faction's Mountain Guarding Grand Array barely reached rank 8. This kind of array formation, even if Ning Cheng was alone, as long as he had enough time, he could easily arrange it. What's more, how could he attack this array formation? A powerful rank 8 array formation grandmaster, attacking a barely rank 8 array formation. Moreover, no one was able to pull up the Mountain Guarding Grand Array in time. In just a few breaths, the Mountain Guarding Grand Array gave out a "catcha" sound before a huge crack appeared on it. With Ning Cheng once again blasting down with his spear, the entrance to the Mountain Guarding Grand Array completely shattered under Ning Cheng's attack. The mountain entrance that was previously shrouded in a dense fog suddenly became clear, only to see many panic-stricken cultivators flying in. This person is the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Ning Cheng. Originally, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect killed many of my Red Star Sword faction's disciples, and now this person has come knocking on our door. My Red Star Sword faction's disciples, such? A Crucible Transformation first-level cultivator had just arrived at the entrance of the Mountain Guarding Grand Array and was trying to boost the morale of his fellow disciples when Ning Cheng's spear burst him apart. He did not even have the opportunity to bring out his magical weapon. Ning Cheng's spear had killed a Crucible Transformation first-level elder, causing the rest of the cultivators to suddenly turn sluggish. Many people had seen Ning Cheng before and knew that he was an extremely powerful person. Now that this person had killed a Crucible Transformation first-level elder with a single spear, it showed that this person was even more powerful than the rumors said. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. After Ning Cheng killed a Crucible Transformation first-level cultivator, he did not immediately rush forward. Instead, he raised the Nirvana spear in his hands and spoke in a cold voice. My Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction originally had no enmity. However, the Red Star Sword faction has already attacked my Rainbow Fall Sword sect 3 times. Today, I came here to exterminate your entire sect. All those who do not want to die swear to renounce the Red Star Sword faction and will be spared from death. Otherwise, I will kill you without mercy." An uproar broke out. Although Ning Cheng was powerful, but wanting to exterminate the Red Star Sword faction with just 2 people, it was simply looking down on the Red Star Sword faction too much. No one was willing to renounce the Red Star Sword faction, let alone swear an oath. A hoarse roar arrived. "Kill them for me, turn these 2 people into mincemeat and feed them to the dogs." This voice was like a spark thrown into a pile of explosives, which instantly aroused the rage of all the cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction. Numerous cultivators brought out a variety of magical weapons before rushing towards Ning Cheng. At this moment, Ning Cheng did not show any mercy. The 36 cosmic true devil axes formed an axe line filled with killing intent, harvesting the lives of the cultivators below the crucible transformation realm. At the same time, his Nirvana spear crazily wrapped around all the crucible transformation cultivators. Ji Lufei wanted to help Ning Cheng block 1 or 2 crucible transformation cultivators. However, she found that she simply did not have the opportunity. Chapter 444. More and more cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction rushed out. However, the entire entrance to the mountain-protecting Grand Array had already turned into a blood mist. Not a single cultivator could break through Ning Cheng's axe line. Along with the blue-colored shadow of the Thunder City appearing above Ning Cheng's head, these crucible transformation cultivators found that not only were they unable to approach Ning Cheng, even if they wanted to break through the shadow of the Thunder City, it would not be easy. The 36 cosmic true devil axes in front of the entrance of the Red Star Sword faction's mountain-protecting Grand Array transformed into one after another axe line after another. These axe lines were incomparably powerful. If a cultivator with a poor cultivation were to come into contact with them, they would immediately die. As for crucible transformation cultivators or sea-opening realm cultivators, once they approached Ning City, they would immediately feel a kind of spatial shackles. Under Ning Cheng's false domain, this was a completely unequal slaughter. When the 6th crucible transformation cultivator was pierced through by Ning Cheng's spear, some of the lower-leveled cultivators finally could not stand the horrifying Azura-style massacre and immediately tried to rush out of the mountain-protecting Grand Array to escape. Unfortunately, not a single person was able to escape, as all of them were killed by the dense axe lines. I withdraw from the Red Star Sword faction. If I violate this oath, then let the Thunder Tribulation annihilate me. Finally, a soul essence cultivator could not help but begin to swear. Immediately he discovered that he was the only cultivator who managed to escape from this dense axe line. As soon as he got out, he immediately used an escaping talisman and soon disappeared without a trace. If he didn't even have his life, why would he care about the sect? With the first, there would be the second. More and more of the lower-leveled cultivators copied the words of the cultivator who had just escaped, and rushed out of the Red Star Sword faction one by one. From the time Ning Cheng arrived at the Red Star Sword faction, it had only been an hour, but the entrance to the mountain-protecting Grand Array of the Red Star Sword faction was already filled with the corpses of cultivators. If not for Ning Cheng deliberately letting go of half of the disciples who had left the sect, more cultivators would have died here. The remaining crucible transformation cultivators felt their hearts tremble. They finally understood just how terrifying Ning Cheng was, and why he dared to come here alone to exterminate the Red Star Sword faction. What they were anxious about was why Forefather Scarlet Flame had not come out of seclusion yet. Catcha! Boom! Ning Cheng's Thunder City's shadow finally shattered, while his Nirvana spear also ended up sealed. What made Ning Cheng feel surprised was that at this moment, he was at an absolute disadvantage. The other 3 crucible transformation cultivators not only did not attack him, but instead withdrew their weapons, allowing the red-haired man to suppress him alone. Ning Cheng absolutely did not believe that the other party would be so kind-hearted. He did not hesitate to speak to Ji Lufei. Enter the miniature world. Ji Lufei knew that this was not the time to talk about reason. She believed in Ning Cheng. Even if Ning Cheng was not a match for the other party, Ning Cheng still had the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to escape. Ning Cheng had just let Ji Luofei enter the miniature world when the red-haired cultivator suddenly shouted out, "Red Star Blood Sacrifice." At this moment, the flame beacon diagram completely transformed into a red sky. Ning Cheng, wrapped in this red sky, could only barely struggle with the help of the 36 cosmic true devil axes. Even his nirvana spear could not break through this flame beacon world. Red Star Blood Sacrifice. At the same time, the other 3 crucible transformation cultivators simultaneously called out the same 4 words. Ning Cheng suddenly had an illusion that the sky above him was the flame beacon diagram, while under his feet was a world of waves. Ning Cheng, at this moment, finally understood why the Red Star Sword faction was built on a silver river. At this moment, this silver river completely roared, causing endless silver waves to roll up, just like a landslide. Rumble, rumble. The silver waves rolled up, causing the earth to roar. It was as if an ancient behemoth had awakened, giving off an anger that wanted to devour everything. The silver waves that erupted from this silver river completely locked down the space in which the 4 of them were fighting. There was simply no place to move. At this moment, Ning Cheng once again felt the same feeling as when he fought against Rong Jin, the feeling of being under the control of the opposite party's sword domain. It was exactly the same as his false domain. However, this kind of control over the space formed by the flame beacon diagram and the silver river beneath the Red Star Sword faction was far stronger than his false domain. The silver waves and the flame beacon diagram quickly closed up, causing Ning Cheng to feel the threat of death. The silver river beneath the Red Star Sword faction was the Red Star Sword faction's faction guarding treasure, just like the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. However, the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword had not yet played its role, before it was stolen by someone. But this time, the Red Star Sword faction's Red Star Silver River had truly begun to show its might. He had underestimated all the sects under the heavens, each and every one of them was not a simple existence. No wonder the Red Star Sword faction dared to attack the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Array. It turned out that they knew that the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword was no longer around. Or rather, they knew that no one from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect could stimulate the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. But why did the Grand Elder and Deputy Sect Master Tantai not remind him that the Red Star Sword faction possessed such a terrifying silver river when he came to the Red Star Sword faction? The only explanation was that they did not know about it. The flame beacon diagram had already appeared above Ning Cheng's head, while the silver waves of the silver river had already surrounded the flame beacon diagram. Destruction, death, and violence filled the world at this moment, causing Ning Cheng to be wrapped up in this world of destruction. He simply did not have any chance to escape. He could not even move, let alone bring out the Star River or even cast the maximal flame spiritual technique. The space in front of Ning Cheng trembled at this moment. What appeared in front of him was no longer the flame beacon and the silver river, but a gray invisible call. This call ignored all the surrounding space-time, ignored all magical weapons and all attacks. This kind of terrifying gray call made people unable to raise any thoughts of resistance. Die for me. The red-haired man's wild laughter arrived. Ning Cheng was immediately awakened by this wild laughter. He felt as if he could see a gray claw in the space around him. This claw was trying to grab at his life essence. No, he absolutely could not let this go on. He could not die, he must not die. A strong will to live rose within him, causing the spear intent of the Nirvana spear in Ning Cheng's hands to crazily break through the shackle. This was a spear intent that could pierce through the sky. He had personally witnessed this spear intent kill a powerhouse that could destroy a planet. He had personally witnessed that this spear intent could destroy a planet. Why couldn't this spear intent break through the flame beacon and the Red Star Silver River? This spear intent should be able to cut through any vault of the sky, cutting through any space. Ka! A small crack appeared on the spearhead of the Nirvana spear, causing Ning Cheng's suffocating feeling to suddenly loosen up. He felt his life essence once again return to his body. However, at the same time, the surrounding aura of destruction completely raged. Ning Cheng did not hesitate. His Nirvana Spear's spear intent had already allowed his life essence to return. The only thing he could do at this moment was to enter the mysterious yellow bead. Countless dangers, countless killing intents, and countless times of cultivation. Ning Qing had never thought of entering the mysterious yellow bead. However, this time, he had no choice but to enter the mysterious yellow bead. He had no other choice. If he did not enter the mysterious yellow bead, he would end up being torn into pieces by this converging space. The might of the red star blood sacrifice was just too terrifying. He could not resist it, at least not yet. Whether it was the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, the Nirvana Spear intent, or the endless axe lines or the everlasting blue Thunder City, none of them could save his life at this moment. With this kind of terrifying space converging, even his miniature world would vanish into thin air, and Luofei would also fall just like him. Boom boom. A horrifying explosion sound rolled up, as the Milky Way below the Red Star Sword faction exploded into endless silver water droplets. These water droplets directly pierced through the surrounding air, causing incomparably explosive sounds to ring out. The flame beacon diagram looked just like an inverted world of flames, with countless volcanoes, rivers of fire, and thunder of fire. It seemed as if it wanted to turn everything in this space into dust. The fireballs and the silver waves finally swept up together, causing the space in this area to tumble and turn into nothingness at this moment. The blood-colored sky was dyed by the silver waves, forming a deathly gray color. Looking at this color, one would immediately feel the shadow of death looming over one's heart. In the face of this deathly gray color, the world would disappear, and life would turn into nothingness. The only thing that remained was the sound of destruction, as if to declare that no one could stop this destruction. Chapter 445. The red-haired man looked at the red star blood sacrifice in front of him and took in a deep breath before speaking. This person is too terrifying. If not for him not advancing to the crucible transformation realm before coming to my Red Star Sword faction, my Red Star Sword faction would have already been destroyed by this person. At this moment he and the other three were pale, and their true essence was in chaos. There was a price to pay for using the Star River Sword Sex Star River Blood Sacrifice, which was the quintessential essence and blood essence. Unfortunately for him, I heard that he not only possesses the geocentric 9-ene essence, but also the 9-colored mirage tree. A crucible transformation cultivator standing on the left side of the red-haired man also gave out a sigh. These two things, any one of them would cause the entire Yixing mainland to crazily compete for it. Hey, that's not right, there is a yellow bead in the middle. After the explosion gradually disappeared, the crucible transformation cultivator on the right saw the mysterious yellow bead. Origin Aura. The red-haired man's expression changed. Before he could continue speaking, he and the other three felt the space around them suddenly collapse. Ning Cheng's shadow seemed to have once again appeared in front of him. Not good. The red-haired cultivator shouted. He took out a talisman and was about to flee. He had already consumed too much of his energy. If Ning Qing decided to go all out against him, then he would definitely not be able to escape. He was screaming crazily in his heart. Under the Scarlet Star blood sacrifice, everything would be turned into dust. Why couldn't this pearl be turned into dust? What kind of bead was this? Furthermore, if he were to obtain that kind of origin chi, why would his cultivation progress by leaps and bounds? He didn't dare to continue thinking about it. He felt extreme danger, and his strength was greatly reduced. In the face of this danger, he actually felt powerless. What kind of magic skill was this? The red-haired man knew that this was not good, while the other three crucible transformation cultivators also knew that this was not good. However, Ning Cheng had already cast out his maximal flame spirit technique, causing the endless spatial collapse to once again transform into a mass of scorching flames. This flame no longer came from the red-haired man's flame beacon diagram but from Ning Cheng's maximal flame spiritual technique. Previously, the red-haired man's Scarlet Star blood sacrifice controlled everything around him. But this time, Ning Cheng's maximal flame spirit technique controlled the entire world. Every dog has its day. The river flows east for 30 years, and then west for 30 years. Ning Cheng had the mysterious yellow bead and was able to escape this calamity, but the red-haired man did not have any means to escape this calamity. The spatial explosion that had just calmed down, once again crazily exploded. This time, only 3 crucible transformation cultivators and 1 above crucible transformation cultivator were at the center of the explosion. Ning Cheng did not know that the red-haired man's group of 4, after casting the Scarlet Star blood sacrifice, were already an arrow at the end of its flight. He was afraid that once he came out, he would once again end up besieged by those terrifying spirit techniques. Moreover, he also found that the miniature world inside the mysterious yellow bead was extremely unstable, and there was even a possibility that it could be destroyed at any time. Combined with Tsang Wei's words, Ning Cheng guessed that it should have something to do with Luofei in the miniature world. Since the mysterious yellow bead's origin was not complete, he did not dare to continue staying in the mysterious yellow bead. Therefore, as soon as he came out, he used the Maximal Flame spiritual ability. This time, with the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, he didn't even bother to protect his opponent's ring. A moment ago, if not for the mysterious yellow bead, he and Ji Luofei would have already died. In this kind of situation, he simply did not have even half a shred of hope. Boom! A violent explosion sound rolled up a red wave. The Red Star Sword faction had suffered 2 consecutive explosions from the spiritual technique. Even if the people from the Red Star Sword faction were far away, they would still be able to hear it clearly. This time, the spatial explosion was much weaker than the Scarlet Star blood sacrifice. However, the remaining 4 people simply did not have any strength to escape. Under the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, they completely turned into nothingness. Ning Cheng slowly breathed out a sigh of relief as he stood above the ravine of nothingness created by the Maximal Flame spiritual technique and the Scarlet Star blood sacrifice. After casting the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, he knew that the other 4 people no longer had the strength to fight against him. However, he did not regret it. This lesson taught him that he should never think that he was infallible. In this world, there were still many forces that he did not understand. The Red Star Sword faction was finished. After Ning Cheng killed the last 10 Crucible Transformation cultivators, the Red Star Sword faction no longer had any cultivators. All the cultivators had either died or escaped. Under the effects of the Scarlet Star blood sacrifice and the Maximal Flame spiritual technique, countless rings turned into dust. Ning Cheng did not obtain many spoils of war. Ning Cheng was just about to call out Ji Luofei, and the 2 of them wanted to take a look at the Red Star Sword faction's spiritual medicine garden. However, he suddenly felt his body turn cold, as a sharp and terrifying killing intent invaded his consciousness. At the same time, the entire Red Star Sword faction below him started to shake. Ning Cheng immediately knew that it was not good. He quickly grabbed the flame beacon diagram that was not destroyed and rushed out of the Red Star Sword faction. Boom boom boom. An even more violent sound rolled up. Ning Cheng, who had already rushed out of the Red Star Sword faction, looked at the silver river below the Red Star Sword faction in shock. That silver river unexpectedly pulled out of the Red Star Sword faction, turning into a white light before disappearing into the endless sky. Even his spiritual consciousness could not capture it. Without the support of the silver river, the Red Star Sword faction once again gave out bursts of roars. A moment later, the luxurious and majestic Red Star Sword faction turned into ruins. Ning Cheng did not feel even half a shred of pride. Rather, he felt a bit of worry. He had indeed destroyed the Red Star Sword faction. However, that silver river had disappeared for no apparent reason. Who knew if a powerhouse had taken it away or not? Moreover, the killing intent that he had felt a moment ago still lingered in his heart. When Ji Luofei came out and saw the ruins in front of her, she could not help but feel shocked. She was inside the miniature world and did not know what had happened. Let's go back. This time, we will get married in the sect. After we get married, you will follow me to heaven's way. Ning Cheng held Ji Luofei tightly to his side. He originally wanted to go to the Yin Yang Dao sect. However, after the battle with the Red Star Sword faction, he dispelled the idea. He was sure that with his current cultivation, going to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would only result in death. Moreover, he believed that if he destroyed the Red Star Sword faction, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would definitely change the answer they gave him. Previously, he had ordered the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to kill the disciples of the Yin Yang Dao sect wandering outside the sect. This matter should have angered the Yin Yang Dao sect. Now that he destroyed the Red Star Sword faction, even if the Yin Yang Dao sect was ruthless, they would not dare to directly provoke them. Even if he wanted to attack the Yin Yang Dao sect, he could not go alone. At the very least, he would need the entire sect to go together. In fact, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Yin Yang Dao sect did not have such a huge hatred between them. Destroying the Red Star Sword faction would also allow him to achieve his goal of establishing his prestige. Ning Cheng, did you say that we will get married when we go back? Great joy filled Ji Luofei's heart. She had long wanted to marry Ning Cheng. The two of them already had a marriage agreement. However, after experiencing so many things, she ended up falling behind Shi Qianghua. However, if Ning Cheng did not say it out loud, she would also feel embarrassed to say it out loud. I'm sorry, Luofei. This matter should not have dragged on until today. Ning Cheng could feel Luofei's excitement. However, he felt a little guilty in his heart. Previously, it was to find his little sister. Later, because of the huge changes in the sect, he simply did not have the time to marry Luofei. But now, after the battle with the Red Star Sword faction, he increasingly felt that his cultivation was insufficient. If this was the case in the Yixing mainland, then once he left this place, it would be even worse. Recalling the words that Song Wei had spoken to him in the past, he wanted to wander the vast universe in the future. Without strength, if he could not even protect the people around him, then how could he even talk about wandering the universe? If he wanted to cultivate to become more powerful, then he would have to leave the Tian continent and enter Heaven's Way. How could Ji Luofei listen to Ning Cheng's apology? She raised her head and blocked Ning Cheng's words with her lips. No words could describe the longing she felt for the upcoming wedding. Yin Yang Dao sect. Even among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent, the Yin Yang Dao sect was ranked at the forefront, second only to the Thousand Zen Hall, the Battle Devil Hall, the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Severing Emotions Dao sect. At this time, in the Yin Yang Dao sect's assembly hall, several crucible transformation cultivators had gathered. Even the Yin Yang Dao sect's young sect master Hao Anye and a grand elder were present in the assembly hall. In the past, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, in order to deceive my Yin Yang Dao sect, used a fake perception pagoda to attract hatred for my Yin Yang Dao sect. This time, they even killed my Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples. This time, there is no need for the Red Star Sword faction to contact us. My Yin Yang Dao sect will take the initiative to make contact with the Red Star Sword faction. If we do not destroy the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, we will not rest. The Yin Yang Dao sect's young sect master Hao Anya spoke with a sharp murderous aura. No one refuted it. Attacking the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was an established strategy. Sending disciples to provoke the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, this was also something that had long been planned. Originally, the Yin Yang Dao sect's plan was to take the initiative to go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and say that two of their disciples had disappeared and were killed by people from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. They did not expect that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would actually cooperate with them. They did not even have the time to carry out this plan when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect really killed two of the Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples. I heard that the sect master of the Empty Sky Sword sect, Ning Cheng, has returned. This person has always been bold, daring to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect with his soul essence cultivation. A crucible transformation female cultivator spoke with some worry. Ji Xiao at the side gave a chuckle and spoke. Even if Ning Cheng is more powerful, he is still just a single person. My Yin Yang Dao sect's crucible transformation cultivators could easily slap him to death. Because the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword has once again returned to the sect, I am worried about their yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. The female cultivator explained. Hao Anya nodded and spoke. Ning Cheng has returned, but there is no news of Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming. I have already sent people to the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance. If we can contact these two places, then even if the Rainbow Fall Sword sect has a few more yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Swords, we would not be afraid. At this moment, a soul essence cultivator hurriedly walked to the door. What's the matter? Hao Anya asked with a frown. In general, if there was no urgent matter, ordinary cultivators were not allowed to approach. However, this soul essence cultivator was different. He was the Yin Yang Dao sect's foreign affairs deacon. Although his cultivation was low, but his status was not low, as such all the external affairs were handled by him. Sect Master, Elders, I have just received news that Ning Cheng, along with his fiancée Ji Luofei, broke through the Red Star Sword faction's mountain-protecting Grand Array, and even killed 10 Crucible Transformation Elders, including the Red Star Sword faction's red-haired ancestor. The Red Star Sword faction has already disappeared from the Tian continent. Ning Cheng destroyed it. What? After this soul essence cultivator finished speaking, almost all the people in the discussion hall suddenly stood up. Chapter 446. The Yin Yang Dao sect's discourse hall turned deathly silent. After a long while, the Grand Elder of the Yin Yang Dao sect, who had not spoken until now, repeated the words in shock. Did you just say that Ning Cheng brought along his Dao companion, and the two of them destroyed the Red Star Sword faction? This soul essence deacon quickly bowed and said, reporting to Elder Shi, it is indeed like this. He had heard that Ji Luofei was only at the Crucible Transformation first level. However, the fact was that Ning Cheng was the only one who truly destroyed the Red Star Sword faction. Besides, everyone in the hall sucked in a mouthful of cold air. This hall was also filled with the top experts of the Yin Yang Dao sect. Not to mention about one person going to destroy the Red Star Sword faction. Even if all of them came together, they might not necessarily be able to destroy the Red Star Sword faction. How could Ning Cheng be so heaven-defying? Even if Ning Cheng's cultivation was above the Crucible Transformation realm, if he wanted to destroy the Red Star Sword faction, wouldn't it not be so simple? And what? Yin Yang Dao sect's young sect master Hao Anya asked in a deep voice. The killing intent that he had to kill the Rainbow Fall Sword sect a moment ago had disappeared at this moment. If the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Ning Cheng truly had such strength, then even if the Yin Yang Dao sect came out in full force, they would not be able to destroy the Yin Yang Dao sect. Instead, they might even end up destroyed by someone else. The Soul Essence Cultivator continued, the people who went to the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance came back. How so? Howen asked anxiously. As a sect master, this was the first time he had been so anxious about something. If the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance were willing to join forces with the Yin Yang Dao sect, then even if Ning Cheng destroyed the Red Star Sword faction, it would not matter much to him. The Soul Essence Cultivator hesitated for a moment before speaking up. They not only refused to join hands with us, but also issued a warning that if my Yin Yang Dao sect dared to provoke the Rainbow Fall Sword faction for no reason, then they would definitely take action. Howen sat down dispiritedly. He couldn't believe it. The meaning behind these words was too obvious. This person did not want to deal with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but rather his Yin Yang Dao sect. For the people from the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance to actually help the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, what the hell was going on? Although Zhuoqiugao was the sect master of the Heavenly Dao school, he still had to show respect to the sect master, Xiao Bixing. Tell me, why did you join forces with the Yin Yang Dao sect, the Red Star Sword faction and the other factions to besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Xiao Bixing's tone was flat. His skeleton-like appearance had greatly improved, at least there was some flesh and blood. Zhuoqiugao felt somewhat helpless. In the face of Xiao Bixing, he could not hide his purpose. Replying to Dao Master, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect suddenly gained a new treasure, the Perception Pagoda. The Perception Pagoda allows one to continuously advance to the Crucible Transformation realm. If our Heavenly Dao Academy does not compete for this kind of thing, then we would definitely be eliminated in the future. Why did you give up on the Enlightenment Pagoda after it was taken away by the Yin Yang Dao sect? Xiao Bixing asked calmly. Zhuoqiugao explained, after the Perception Pagoda was taken away by the Yin Yang Dao sect, I found that it did not have any effect on Crucible Transformation cultivators. At least for the past few years, the Yin Yang Dao sect has not gained a single crucible transformation cultivator. Later, I investigated the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Since the Rainbow Fall Sword sect took out the Perception Pagoda, no crucible transformation cultivators came out. Therefore, I felt that the Perception Pagoda might be a consumable. Xiao Bisheng sighed. You are the leader of the Heavenly Law School, and I have watched you grow up. You didn't consider the source of your actions. You were a bit reckless. If you continue like this, the sect will be in danger. In other words, if someone came to my sect to snatch the Heavenly Dao Bridge, what would you do? Of course, I would use the strength of the entire sect to block them. Even if the sect ended up destroyed, I would not let anyone snatch the Heavenly Dao Bridge. Zhuo Qiugao spoke without hesitation. Xiao Bisheng spoke with disdain. Since the Heavenly Dao Bridge is so important, then the Perception Pagoda in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect should not be any less important than the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. How can you know that others would not use the strength of the entire sect to block it? Zhuo Qiugao felt relieved. Dao Master, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword has already been lost. Not to mention the other major academies, even if my Heavenly Dao Academy went alone, we would be able to easily destroy the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Xiao Bisheng finally felt a bit angry. Zhuo Qiugao, it looks like you do not put anyone under the heavens in your eyes. Do you think that the Heavenly Dao Academy can sweep away everything? I will not say anything else. Just the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect Master Ning Cheng alone can destroy most of the Heavenly Dao Academy. If you continue with this kind of mentality, then my Heavenly Dao Academy will be in danger. Pass it down. All the Crucible Transformation Elders of the Heavenly Dao Academy are to gather in the Assembly Hall. Dao Master, although that Ning Cheng is comparable to a late-stage Crucible Transformation cultivator, he is still. Zhuo Qiugao's voice had not yet fallen when a red light fell into his hands. Zhuo Qiugao grabbed the red flying sword and swept it with his spiritual consciousness, causing his complexion to suddenly change. What's going on? Xiao Bisheng immediately asked. In any case, Zhuo Qiugao was still the Heavenly Dao Academy's sect master. Zhuo Qiugao felt a chill run down his spine. He grabbed the flying sword and spoke with a trembling voice. Ning Cheng and his Dao companion went to the Red Star Sword faction alone not long ago, and killed all the cultivators above the sea-opening realm of the Red Star Sword faction. Ning Cheng completely destroyed the Red Star Sword faction. How is this possible? In Zhuo Qiugao's heart, how is this possible? Even if Ning Cheng was more powerful, how could he destroy the entire Red Star Sword faction? However, this flying messenger sword truly stated that it was Ning Cheng who destroyed the Red Star Sword faction. Xiao Bisheng sighed and spoke. This is very normal. Not to mention the Red Star Sword faction, even if I joined forces with Mu Ziming, I'm afraid that we would not be his opponent. What's more, Mu Ziming and I were saved by him. After saying that, he seemed to be talking to himself. With a fake domain in the Yixing mainland, who else could be his opponent? Even if it is Su Anjin, I estimate that she can only avoid the sharp edge. In the past few years, the Tian continent had been very peaceful. Although there had been some small fights, nothing major had happened. But recently, 3 major events had happened in the Heaven continent. The first matter was the return of the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bisheng, the Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming, and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect Master Ning Cheng. The second matter was that after the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect Master Ning Cheng came back, he came to know that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had been repeatedly attacked by the Red Star Sword faction, to the point where even his good friend Sun Hanrui ended up dead. He, along with his lover, challenged the Red Star Sword faction, killing 10 Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction, before finally destroying the Red Star Sword faction. From then on, the Red Star Sword faction no longer existed in the Ho-Tian continent. If the first matter was a topic that everyone was talking about, then the second matter was equivalent to an earthquake that broke out in the Tian continent. The destruction of small sects was a common occurrence in the Heaven continent, so no one was surprised. But what kind of place was the Red Star Sword faction? It was one of the top 10 academies, yet this kind of sect ended up destroyed. It was simply appalling. In the past, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect suffered a sneak attack, yet it was not destroyed in the end. But this time, the Red Star Sword faction ended up destroyed in an open and above-board manner. The name Rainbow Fall Sword sect suddenly resounded throughout the entire Tian continent, in every corner. Every topic was inseparable from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master Ning Cheng and his Dao companion Jilu. Since it was inseparable from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master Ning Cheng and his Dao companion Ji Lufei, the matter of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master Ning Cheng and his Dao companion Ji Lufei also spread out at the fastest speed. If Ning Cheng had not destroyed the Red Star Sword faction in a thunderous manner, his marriage would not have caused such a sensation throughout the Tian continent. At this time, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, inside and outside, was filled with a variety of festive colors. Not only inside and outside the sect, but even inside the Rainbow Fall makeshift market, every shop was decorated with festive decorations. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's mountain-protecting grand array was fully activated, while rows of external affairs disciples lined up on both sides to welcome the guests. Since the establishment of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, this was the first time that such a grand event was held. All the guests who came to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, after arriving here, came to know that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was not only hosting the wedding of Ning Cheng's sect master. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect also had another important matter to attend to, that is, the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword that had been lost for decades had once again returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Originally, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect already had a very strong momentum, but with the return of the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword, its momentum became even more unparalleled. Countless guests and congratulatory guests headed towards the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, while some rogue cultivators also headed towards the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to watch the excitement. Because of the large number of cultivators gathered here, there was bound to be a large-scale exchange and auction. This kind of lively and extraordinary event was not common in the Tian continent. At the entrance of the mountain-protecting grand array, the external affairs disciples in charge of welcoming guests continuously reported the names of the guests who came to congratulate them. Profound Light Chamber of Commerce's President Yuan Qin came to congratulate. Great Change Island Sect Master Yi Xixiong came to congratulate. Floating Snow Palace's 7th Palace Master Sang Jeju came to congratulate. Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming came to congratulate. Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bixing and Sect Masters Wuqiugao came to congratulate. Yin Yang Dao Sect's Dao Master Xian and Sect Master Hao Anyun came to congratulate. Yu Ocean Palace's Palace Master Yu Haishi came to congratulate. Looking at the big shots walking into the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the countless rogue cultivators who came to watch the excitement turned even more excited. Even during the great meet of the academies in the past, they had never seen so many big shots gathered together. Of the 10 major academies, apart from the destroyed Red Star Sword faction, it seems that only the Severing Emotions Dao sect has not come. The rest of the academies have all come, even the Battle Devil Hall has sent someone. Didn't they say that the Yin Yang Dao sect and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect have some kind of conflict? How come the Yin Yang Dao sect's sect master came? What do you know? Sect Master Ning has a cultivation above Crucible Transformation Realm, yet he managed to defeat the Red Star Sword faction with his own strength. If I were the sect master of the Yin Yang Dao sect, I would have also come. Ning Cheng and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Elder Zhong Liping received Xiao Bixing and Mu Ziming alone. Compared to when they had just come out from the blue hole, Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing looked a lot better. Brother Mu, did that Su Anjin really go to Heaven's Way? Ning Cheng's first sentence was to ask about Su Anjin's whereabouts. He learned from Zhong Liping that Su Anjin most likely went to Heaven's Way. Mu Ziming nodded and spoke. Yes, Su Anjin definitely went to Heaven's Way. I suspect that she went there for Rui Baishan. It's just that Heaven's Way is getting more and more difficult to enter. Ning Cheng understood the meaning behind Mu Ziming's words. More and more people wanted to go to Heaven's Way, while the entrance to Heaven's Way required mirage stones to craft array flags. Mirage stones were just too precious. Chapter 447. The wedding of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect Master Ningqing had attracted the attention of the entire Tian continent. Except for a very small number of academies, almost all the famous academies in the Tian continent had come to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to send gifts and congratulate the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Yin Yang Dao sect master, Hao Anya, specially brought over the perception pagoda that he had originally wanted to go to. At the same time, he took the initiative to apologize to Ningqing. Tian continent's foremost array formation grandmaster, Wu Mao, took the initiative to offer that as long as Ningqing was willing to take out the mirage stones, he would be willing to participate in arranging the array formations at the entrance to Heaven's Way. Because there were too many guests and because there were still some other things to take care of, Ningqing decided to hold his wedding ceremony on the Rainbow Fall Sword Stone. Tilifei, who was already a peerless beauty, under the careful dressing, looked even more like the most beautiful white lotus. At this time, she had a happy expression on her face as Ningqing held her hand and walked over the clouds from the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. What made everyone unable to understand was that the bride, Jili, unexpectedly wore a white dress, not a bright red one. However, Ji Luofei's breathtaking beauty made all the people ignore her clothes. In other words, her clothes only served to accentuate her pure and gentle beauty. This kind of beauty caused all the other female cultivators present to pale in comparison. As long as a woman who could cultivate wasn't ridiculously ugly, her appearance wouldn't be too ugly as her cultivation level increased. Some of the female cultivators, who were already beautiful, became even more beautiful after cultivating. But when Ji Luofei came out, it immediately gave all the female cultivators a new standard for beauty. At this moment, countless female cultivators wished that they could have such a wedding. Dressed in a white wedding dress, she was led down from the clouds by her beloved Dao companion. Or, with such a wedding, can let the woman be the most beautiful. Ningqing took Ji Luofei's hand and stood in the air above the main seat of the public square. Facing the various congratulations, he cupped his fists and thanked them one by one. Ji Luofei's entire body was brimming with a joyful smile. She had finally waited for this day. Compared to elder sister Qianghua, she was much happier. Today is this Ningqing's big wedding day. I am very grateful to all the major academies for gracing my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. After Ningqing started speaking, the Rainbow Fall Sword Stone instantly quietened down. I thank my wife, Luofei, for marrying me. I will love her for the rest of my life. Ji Luofei did not expect that Ningqing would speak such words in public. She had never been to Earth, nor had she participated in a wedding on Earth. Even if she was thin-skinned, Ningqing's words still tore apart her little bit of modesty. She even forgot that they were still in the public square, as she snuggled against Ningqing's shoulder. I also want to hold a wedding like this in the future. A male cultivator enviously said, if someone could treat me like Sect Master Ning, I would definitely not cultivate. I would just love him alone. This time, it was a female cultivator with good looks who spoke up. Don't be a hypocrite. I'm sure that when you go back, you'll still do your closed-door training. What did that gigolo of the Guan clan do to you? Didn't you still kick it away? Besides, what does other people's love for you have to do with whether you cultivate or not? Another female cultivator beside the female cultivator immediately retorted. How can he compare with Sect Master Ning? After the voices in the public square quieted down a bit, Ningqing continued, today, I will take this opportunity to announce a few other things. The first thing is that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword has once again returned. Today, with the help of all the guests here as witnesses, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword will finally return to the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Finished speaking, a rainbow-like long sword appeared in Ningqing's hands. Countless spiritual consciousnesses fell on the long sword in Ningqing's hands. However, no one could clearly see the appearance of this sword. All they could see was a rainbow. Only Ningqing knew that this sword was definitely not an ordinary sword. Even his 36 cosmic true devil axes added up could not compare to a corner of this sword. Initially, after listening to Elder Zhong Liping's words, he had spent a few days to study this sword. He had indeed obtained the Rainbow Fall 9 Revolutions from the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall sword. The Rainbow Fall 9 Revolutions was a top-notch cultivation method. Unfortunately, it was not suitable for Ning Cheng to cultivate. Ning Cheng passed on the Rainbow Fall 9 Revolutions to everyone at the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, while also letting Tan Tai Fei pass it on to all the true inheriting disciples or the core disciples. The yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword once again returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Coupled with Ning Cheng's formidable strength, everyone was clear that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had reached a new height. Under the gaze of countless eyes, Ning Cheng flew up and landed on the summit of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak with the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. He had not yet sent out the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword in his hands, when the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword took the initiative to fly up and inserted itself into the summit of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. When the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword once again inserted itself into the summit of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, a sword halo radiated out in all directions, causing all the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to feel a sense of comfort at this moment. It was as if their comprehension of the cultivation method they cultivated had deepened by a level. As for the disciples and elders of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect with higher cultivation, this kind of feeling was even more profound. At this moment, they did not need anyone to tell them. They knew that the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword had returned. Ning Cheng looked at the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword with some doubts. He could not understand, how could this sword be stolen? He had a hunch that even if it was him, he would not be able to casually pull out the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. A powerful sword halo spread out, forcing Ning Cheng to withdraw from the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. With this question in mind, he once again landed beside Ji Luofei. Many thanks to all the guests for witnessing the wedding between me and Ji Luofei, as well as witnessing the return of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. Ning Cheng's words immediately attracted a burst of enthusiastic cheers. They were witnessing a major event. Some of the lower-leveled cultivators were even thinking about how to exaggerate this matter. Dear guests, the third thing I want to talk about today is that because of the restrictions of the I Ching mainland's laws, we are unable to cultivate to a higher realm. However, we all know that such a realm exists. Many Dao friends, in order to pursue greater strength, have to leave the Tian continent and enter another new world through the Heaven's Way. When Ning Cheng spoke about the Heaven's Way, all the people on the sword stone turned silent, turning silent in just a twinkling of an eye. This was a matter that concerned everyone. If one day they also managed to cultivate to the crucible transformation realm, if they did not enter the Heaven's Way, then perhaps they could only remain in the crucible transformation realm for the rest of their lives. There were simply too many crucible transformation cultivators that died of old age in the Tian continent. This was not a joke, but rather a fact. A crucible transformation cultivator only had a lifespan of a few thousand years. A few thousand years for a mortal was a very long time. But for a cultivator who was able to abstain from eating, a few secluded cultivation sessions would be equivalent to a few thousand years. Ning Cheng continued, "The Heaven's Way is difficult, but no matter how difficult it is, we must enter the Heaven's Way in order to reach a higher realm. Moreover, entering the Heaven's Way is getting more and more difficult." The reason why my Rainbow Fall Sword sect had many quotas to enter was because Elder Meng Jingxiu of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect contributed a 9-colored mirage stone. The Tian continent does not only have the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but there are many other academies. I and Dao Master Mu Ziming, as well as several other academies' heads and elders, discussed it with each other. I decided to take out the mirage stones and rearrange the entrance to the Tian continent's Heaven's Way, so that at any time, anyone, as long as they have the ability, would be able to enter the Heaven's Way. Even more enthusiastic cheers erupted. The matter that Ning Cheng spoke about was something that all the cultivators were truly concerned about. All the academies were clear that once Ning Cheng spoke these words, it represented that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect vaguely stood in the leading position of the Tian continent. If Ning Cheng stayed in the Tian continent for a while, then the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would definitely be able to suppress the other major academies and become the premier academy of the Tian continent. Ning Cheng certainly did not speak these words casually. Moreover, he was not a person who did good deeds without leaving his name behind. Permanently opening the heaven's way, according to Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing, he would have to contribute his mirage stones. His mirage stones did not fall from the sky, moreover he did not have many 9-colored mirage stones. He considered it for a long time, before he finally made up his mind to take out his mirage stones. There were 2 reasons for this. One was that this move could really help a lot of people, and the second was that it could reduce the number of crucible transformation cultivators in the Tian continent, allowing it to balance the overall strength. The resources of the Tian continent were already scarce. If the number of crucible transformation cultivators kept increasing, then the competition for resources would become even more serious. There was also another point. If only the cultivators of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect could enter the heaven's way endlessly, then the strength of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would definitely decline. In this way, the strength of the other academies would also rise. Perhaps one day, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would end up following the footsteps of the Red Star Sword faction. Once he opened the heaven's way, then once one's cultivation reached the crucible transformation realm, they would be able to enter the heaven's way. At that time the strength of the major academies would also be balanced. Regardless of what Ning Cheng was thinking, his words had already won the approval of everyone, causing the entire Rainbow Fall Sword Stone to erupt with thunderous applause and endless cheers. All the guests and friends, please enter the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's welcoming hall to taste my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's wine. Ning Cheng looked at the countless cheers. He knew that his goal had been achieved. Or rather, his goal and the goal of the other cultivators had been achieved. At this moment, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect turned into a sea of cheers. No matter how lively the scene was, it would eventually come to a stop. By the time the guests who came to congratulate them left one by one, Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei had already returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's immortal cave. Ning Cheng. After returning to the immortal cave, Ji Luofei no longer cared about being reserved and tightly hugged Ning Cheng. She could not wait to rub her entire body into Ning Cheng's. Still calling me Ning Cheng? My husband. That's right. Oh. The restriction at the entrance has not been activated yet. So soft. My husband knew. After cultivating, Ning Cheng rarely slept in like this. When he woke up, the sun was already shining brightly outside. Ji Luofei, who was stripped naked by Ning Cheng, curled up in his arms, looking like a well-behaved kitten rather than a crucible transformation expert. Ji Luofei opened her eyes. Her face still had a hint of redness. She was just about to speak when she saw Ning Cheng frown. What's wrong? Ji Luofei quickly asked. A person that I don't want to see came to the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. I don't know why she came here. Ning Cheng smiled. Who is it? Nailin Rushue, also from the Lu continent. Chapter 448. Sect Master Ning. Seeing Ning Cheng come in, Nailin Rushue, who was sitting quietly in the reception room, stood up. Lian Yi, who was accompanying Ning Cheng, immediately left the reception room when she saw Ning Cheng come in. She had heard about Ning Cheng and Nailin Rushue's matters from Meng Jingxiu. Speaking of which, this was Nailin Rushue's second visit to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. The first time was when she came to visit Meng Jingxiu. Why are you looking for me? Ning Cheng gestured for Nailin Rushue to sit down before speaking. If it was Yan Ji, then perhaps he would have been pleasantly surprised. Even if it was not Yan Ji, but rather Cheng Yixiao, he would still be happier than seeing this woman. Nailin Rushue's arrival did not surprise him at all. In terms of appearance, Nailin Rushue was no worse than Yan Ji, and even Rainbow Fall Sword sect's premier beauty, Luo Zian. However, Nailin Rushue's character was too bad, and Ning Cheng hated this kind of woman. However, Nailin Rushue's qualifications were truly amazing. Although she had not been in the Tian continent for a long time, she had already reached the 5th level of Sea Opening Realm. In terms of cultivation, she was even a bit higher than him. I joined the Battle Devil Hall. After coming out of seclusion, I learned that you were getting married, so I came to congratulate you. Nailin Rushue seemed to know that Ning Cheng did not have a good impression of her and spoke with a careful tone. Regarding Nailin Rushue's congratulations, Ning Cheng did not take it to heart. Even if Nailan Rushue congratulated him, he and Nailan Rushue would never become friends. What surprised him was that Nailan Rushue actually joined the Battle Devil Hall. The Battle Devil Hall was ranked second among the top 10 sects of the Tian continent, second only to the Thousand Zen Monastery and even more powerful than the Heavenly Tao Academy. The Battle Devil Hall was a devil cultivator sect. Although the Tian continent did not care about devil cultivators and Tao cultivators, in the Lu continent, devil cultivators were hated by everyone. Initially, because he used a cosmic true devil axe, which overflowed with devil chi, he became a wanted criminal. Nailan Rushue came from the Lu continent, so it stood to reason that she should hate devil cultivators. How could she join a devil cultivator sect? The Lu continent's Thoughtless Academy was most disgusted with devil cultivators. Now that the premier disciple of the Thoughtless Academy had joined the Battle Devil Hall, it truly was an irony. Haha, I really didn't expect you to actually join the Battle Demon Hall. Congratulations, congratulations. Thinking back to the time when the Wunyan Academy had put him on the wanted list, Ning Cheng originally wanted to say a few sarcastic words, but thinking that the other party had come to congratulate him on his wedding, he finally swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. Even if he did, he wouldn't grow any flesh. Nailan Rushue lowered her head. Except for herself, no one knew why she joined the Battle Devil Hall. With her qualifications, she could have joined any sect in the Heaven continent. However, she had chosen to join the Battle Demon Hall. This is a gift for you and big sister Lufei. Nailan Rushue handed Ning Cheng a jade box. Ning Cheng took the jade box, but did not open it, and just said a word of thanks. Seeing Ning Cheng take the jade box, Nailan Rushue sighed. She stood up again and gave Ning Cheng a deep bow. Sect Master Ning, in addition to congratulating you on your wedding, I also came here to apologize to you and thank you for saving my life. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid that Sikong Kai would have already swallowed me whole. I was ignorant before, not only did I not thank you, but I even doubted you. For Nailan Rushue, this was the first time she had ever apologized to someone. If replaced with her from back then, even if she did something wrong, she would at most feel guilty and feel a little guilty. However, she would never apologize to others. Perhaps it was due to the influence of Meng Jingxiu's words. Back then, her qualifications were much higher than Meng Jingxiu's. Even when Ning Cheng asked Meng Jingxiu to join the Wunyan Academy, she rejected him. When she met Meng Jingxiu again in the Tian continent, Meng Jingxiu was already a late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, while she was still at the early stage of Sea Opening Realm. Just like how she looked down on Ning Cheng, she also disdained Ning Cheng from joining the Wunyan Academy. Now, Ning Cheng was the sect master of one of the top 10 sects in the Tian continent. Even the hall master of the Battle Devil Hall personally came to congratulate Ning Cheng on his wedding. Ning Cheng, who was out of her reach in the past, was now an unreachable existence to her. Sometimes what the eyes saw was not necessarily true. Meng Jingxiu and Ning Cheng, who used to be far inferior to her, now far surpassed her. This made her understand a truth, that is, at any time, one should never look at oneself as something great. When you look at yourself as something great, or even after countless years, in the eyes of the people you once looked down on, you would still be as insignificant as before. She remembered the last time she came to see Meng Jingxiu, and the words that Meng Jingxiu spoke to her. Nailan Rushue, the truth is that in my eyes, you are just a person with a golden key in his mouth, someone who helped you pave the way for you to walk. I am not ridiculing you, because it is the truth. A person who is not grateful, even if you have a golden key, your achievements would still be limited. Initially, in order to save you, Ning Cheng took me to sneak into the immortal cave of a profound congealing cultivator. I saw with my own eyes how terrifying that profound congealing nefarious cultivator was. When he first saw you, he wanted to tear off your clothes. As for what he wanted to do, I believe that you will understand. At that time, Ning Cheng was only at the early stages of essence-building realm. Moreover, under that grave, there was not even a single profound congealing cultivator. In addition to Sikong Kai, there was also another Hang Jiaojiao. It can be said that Ning Cheng used his life to save you, but how did you repay Ning Cheng? I do not want to say that I am ungrateful, but this is indeed the case. To be honest, I have never seen a person like Ning Qing. He really has a kind heart. This is also the reason why I am willing to become his best friend, and also the reason why I am willing to come to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Although Nalan Rushue knew that what Meng Jingxiu said was not the whole truth, at least she was not the kind of cultivator with a golden key in her mouth, and would only hide in someone's house to cultivate. She did not refute Meng Jingxiu's words. She truly felt sorry for Ning Qing, but unfortunately, the words in her heart could not be spoken to anyone. When she left the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, she at least understood a truth. That is, the academy or her master was not necessarily right. There were some things that she needed to judge on her own. When she came out of the law's way, she knew that Ning Qing had saved her, but under the teachings of her master, she could not be like Yan Ji. Yan Ji was much more independent than her. After she identified Ning Qing, no matter who or what, even if it was her academy or her family, could not affect her in the slightest. Yuing had once told her that Ning Qing told her that sometimes what she saw with her own eyes was not necessarily the truth. Yuing had long understood this truth, but she, Nalan Rushue, only understood it today. Towards Nalan Rushue's apology and gratitude, Ning Qing was not moved at all. Just imagine, if he had been killed by Nalan Rushue's Taoist priestess master, after all these years, would Nalan Rushue still remember who Ning Qing was? Or perhaps she would have long forgotten about him. Initially, Nalan Rushue not only suspected him, but also used him. However, Ning Qing did not want to care about these trivial things. I have long forgotten about those things. Ning Qing spoke in a flat tone. Not caring about Ning Qing's tone, after Nalan Rushue finished speaking, she seemed to have relaxed a bit. Saying that she and Ning Qing had already done the deed between husband and wife, this kind of words was spread out by her master, but she did not deliberately stop it. This kind of thing only she understood. She was not using Ning Qing. She also did not need to explain it to Ning Qing. After Yu Ying and Yu Yuanhua came to know that the Wunyan Academy had issued a warrant for you, they were very dissatisfied with me and the Wunyan Academy, and also left the academy. As for where they are now, I do not know. Nalan Rushue continued. Ning Qing then remembered this pair of talented siblings, as well as he suddenly felt a bit guilty in his heart. When he was in the Lu continent, he unexpectedly did not think of looking for the three of them. After saying these words, I feel a lot better in my heart. I'm leaving. Nalan Rushue did not continue to stay, as she quickly turned around and left. Ning Qing also did not call out to Nalan Rushue. He estimated that the two of them would not have many opportunities to meet in the future. Opening the jade box, he found an escape talisman inside. It was the same escape talisman that he had used when he was forced by Nalan Rushue's master to escape. Closing the jade box again, Ning Qing sat quietly for a long time. It was not until Ji Luofei came in that he stood up and spoke. Luofei, I'm going to hand over the position of Sect Master to Sect Master Tantai. We are going to Heaven's Way. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect cannot do without a sect master. Regarding Ning Qing passing the position of sect master to himself, Tantai Fei, after discussing it with the two grand elders, did not refuse. After several people discussed it, they decided that after Ning Qing entered Heaven's Way, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would once again hold a sect master inauguration ceremony. From the time Ning Qing obtained the spiritual vein to the time he returned to the sect, he had not cultivated for even a single day. After handing over the position of sect master to Tantai Fei, Ning Qing and Ji Luofei immediately went into seclusion. Whether Heaven's Way was dangerous or not, no one knew. However, everyone was clear about one thing, that is, among the many people who entered Heaven's Way, at least not a single one of them could come back. Ning Qing took out the spiritual vein from the miniature world and placed it under his immortal cave. The miniature world did not have any laws to speak of, so if one wanted to have more formidable strength, then going into seclusion at the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak would definitely be much more formidable than going into seclusion in the miniature world. Ji Luofei did not use the spiritual vein to cultivate with Ning Qing. She only needed spirit stones. Ning Qing had a total of several billion spirit stones on him, so Ji Luofei's cultivation did not feel any pressure at all. 3 months later, Ning Cheng advanced to the 5th level of the sea opening realm. 7 months later, Ning Cheng broke through to the 6th level of the sea opening realm. A year later, when Ning Cheng completely consumed his spiritual veins, he barely advanced to the 7th level of the sea opening realm. Ning Cheng could clearly feel that even if he used the spiritual vein for cultivation, his cultivation speed was getting slower and slower. Tan Yun, with just a little bit of the spiritual vein, was able to cultivate to the crucible transformation realm. As for the extra spiritual vein, she even gave it to Ning Ruolin and the others for cultivation. However, even though he had used twice the amount of spiritual vein compared to Tan Yun, he could only cultivate to the 7th level of sea opening realm, which was only 3 small levels of advancement. Although he still had a small lump of essence of wood, Ning Cheng was not willing to use it. In any case, Ning Cheng knew that there was no longer any meaning for him to continue staying in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. On this day, after Ning Cheng refined the flame beacon diagram that he obtained from the Red Star Sword faction, he called out Luofei and bid farewell to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Tan Tai Fei, Zhong Liping and the other crucible transformation cultivators, as well as the Rainbow Fall Sword Peaks Nan Yuefang, Lian Yi, Yang Honghua and the others. Chapter 449. The name Heaven's Road not only represented the path to pursue the heavenly Tao, but it was also a path worthy of its name. In fact, the Heaven's Road was really in the sky. It was Ning Cheng's first time entering Heaven's Way. He had followed Mu Ziming, Xiao Bixing and Wu Mao. Everyone's flight-type magical weapons continued to fly upwards. When Ning Cheng almost thought that they were close to the chaotic star space, the flight-type magical weapons finally stopped. At the entrance of Heaven's Road, there was a mountain called Heaven's Road Mountain. This was the only mountain peak within the Tian continent that was suspended in the air. Moreover, there were several crucible transformation cultivators residing on this mountain peak. The crucible transformation cultivators in this place were basically from the Heaven Alliance, and were mainly here to look after the Heaven's Way. Hundreds of feet in front of this floating mountain peak, there was an extremely faint ripple-shaped image. This was not a strip-shaped ripple. Instead, it was shaped like a mosquito coil, spreading from the inside out. When Ning Cheng saw the spatial ripples, he knew that this place must be the entrance to Heaven's Way. Sure enough, Mu Ziming pointed at the ripples and spoke, "This is the entrance. However, it is currently impossible to open it. If you want to enter, you will need a lot of spirit stones and array flags. This kind of array flag, it is best to use mirage stones to refine it." Ning Cheng, as an array formation grandmaster, did not need Mu Ziming's explanation and immediately understood what was going on. He immediately spoke up, "The arrangement of this array formation is not appropriate. I suggest that we arrange an array formation once and for all, allowing anyone to enter." Ning Cheng had already mentioned this before, and had even discussed this matter with Wu Mao in detail. Wu Mao and Ning Cheng had some differences over the spiritual veins, but because Heaven's Way was facing the entire Yixing mainland. As the number 1 array formation grandmaster in the Tian continent, Wu Mao had no reason to refuse the invitation of the 2 Dao masters. "I've already told Brother Mu about this idea. It's to set up a tearing formation. Only when one had a certain level of strength could they use their own strength to tear apart the ripple space and enter the Heaven's Road. Otherwise, they would not be able to enter. We can't use the power of the array formation to completely open the entrance to Heaven's Road. That way, not only does it consume materials, it's also meaningless," Xiao Bixing said. "I agree with Brother Xiao. That's what I'm thinking too. The array formation can only help. By weakening the power of this space, the cultivator could then use his own strength to tear open this spatial passageway. This way, they could enter the Heaven's Road at any time, and it also ensured that those who were not strong enough would not be able to enter the Heaven's Road. Of course, the mirage stones for arranging the array formations, I will take them out." Ning Cheng immediately agreed with Xiao Bixing's idea. In fact, this was also his idea. Although he had a pile of mirage stones, he still had a few more 9-colored mirage stones. In addition to the 9-colored mirage stones, he also had other mirage stones. Ning Cheng was originally a Tier 8 Array Formation Grandmaster, plus Wu Mao, a Tier 9 Array Formation Grandmaster, along with the help of several cultivators whose cultivation surpassed the Crucible Transformation realm. The tearing array formation at the entrance of the Heavens Road only took 3 days to complete. This array formation provided spiritual energy through the Spirit Gathering Array. When it was not in use, the spiritual energy from the Spirit Gathering Array would basically ensure that the array formation would not be consumed. If someone wanted to enter the Heaven's Way, they would have to come up with a certain amount of spirit stones. These spirit stones could be used as cultivation resources for the cultivators guarding the entrance to the Heaven's Way, as well as to replenish the consumption of the array formation. After the tearing array at the entrance of Heaven's Road was completed, the ring-shaped ripple at the entrance became clearer, but it was impossible to use the array to tear it apart. If anyone wanted to enter the entrance to the Heaven's Road, they would have to use their own strength to tear apart the entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, the arrangement of the entrance to the Heaven's Road has been completed. This Ning will now take his leave. In the future, if fate wills it, we will meet again in the vast starry skies. With the array formation at the entrance to the Heaven's Road completed, Ning Cheng did not want to stay here any longer. Whether it was for his own strength, or to meet his younger sister as soon as possible, he also wanted to enter the Heaven's Road as soon as possible. Even if he wanted to find Shi Qianghua, he would need to have the ability to tear through the void. Being trapped in the Yixing mainland, it was absolutely impossible for him to have the ability to tear through the void. Take care, we will be back soon. Mu Ziming and the others said their goodbyes to Ning Cheng and Ji Luf. Although they had recuperated for a year, Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing still had not fully recovered. If they wanted to enter the Heaven's Way, then they would have to wait until they fully recovered before they could enter. Let's go. Ning Cheng pulled Ji Luofei and raised his hand to grab the ripple-shaped entrance to the Heaven's Way. Under Ning Cheng's formidable true essence tearing, the entrance instantly tore open a gap. Ning Cheng brought Ji Luofei into this gap, and the gap soon disappeared. After Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei entered the Heaven's Way, when they turned around, the entrance to the Heaven's Way had already disappeared. A violent squeezing force erupted, causing Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei to almost suffocate. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to remind Ji Luofei, a dense wave of spatial blade lights flew over. Ning Cheng brought out the 12 cosmic True Devil axes to completely seal off their surroundings, causing the spatial blade lights to shatter under the bombardment of the axe shadows. However, these spatial blade lights were not artificially brought out. In just a few breaths, one after another spatial blade lights shot over. Ning Cheng was a little worried about whether Ruolin could block these spatial blade lights. Moreover, in addition to the spatial blade lights, the spatial squeezing also had to be resisted through one's own true essence. Otherwise, even the storage ring would end up getting crushed. Husband, you don't have to worry about it. Ruolin's cultivation is higher than mine. She will be fine. She came here with so many people from the same sect. Even if there is any danger, there would be someone to help her. Ji Lufei and Ning Cheng had a telepathic connection. As such, she was able to quickly perceive Ning Cheng's thoughts. Ning Cheng, on hearing Ji Luofei's words, finally felt relieved. After coming in, he had not gone to help Ji Lufei. Ji Lufei dealt with the spatial squeezing and the endless spatial blade lights with ease. From this, it could be seen that she had been constantly tempering herself over the years. It was not until this moment that Ning Cheng finally had the time to observe the Heaven's Way's passageway in front of him. He could not see the end of the Heaven's Way's passageway. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness could not sweep out too far. There was only a dark, squeezing passage filled with all kinds of spatial wind edges. Moreover, there seemed to be some small spatial cracks on the side of this passageway. Luofei, come closer to me. Let's not be too far apart. Also, pay attention to those small spatial cracks. Do not approach them. Along the way, there were more and more spatial wind edges. However, with Ning Cheng's strength, the two of them did not feel much of a threat. After a day passed by, Ning Cheng finally felt a little relieved. If the Heaven's Way's passageways were like this, then it would not be a problem for him to walk for a month or two. Spatial collapse. Ji Luofei's horrified voice arrived. Ning Cheng did not have much time to think about it. He directly grabbed Ji Luofei and stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. He had also felt the spatial collapse a moment ago. However, he did not expect that there would be a spatial collapse in this heaven's way. Once one fell into this spatial collapse, who knew if they would die or live? The twin wings of the heavenly clouds were extremely fast. In just a twinkling of an eye, they managed to escape from the location of the spatial collapse. However, the spatial wind edges had also left several scratches on his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Although they managed to escape, Ji Luofei still held onto Ning Cheng's hand. That spatial collapse a moment ago, if not for Ning Cheng, she might not have been able to escape. Ning Cheng felt a little worried in his heart. If Ruolin encountered this kind of spatial collapse, then what would she do? Not to mention Ning Cheng, even Ji Luofei felt a little worried. Ji Luofei believed that Ning Ruolin would be able to block the spatial compression and the spatial wind edges. However, this kind of spatial collapse was just too dangerous. After experiencing a spatial collapse, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness turned even more cautious. His spiritual consciousness had been tempered in the heavenly astral space. Therefore, in this place, he could sweep further than the average person. Therefore, he could feel spatial collapses one step ahead of time, or even more dangerous things. Ji Luofei's spiritual consciousness also started to become more cautious. Her spiritual consciousness had also been tempered in the heavenly astral space. Although it could not reach as far as Ning Cheng, it was not a problem for her to predict some spatial collapses. After the two carefully walked for a few days, they once again encountered several spatial collapses. However, the two of them managed to avoid them by relying on their ability to predict them. Husband, Ruolin has also tempered her spiritual consciousness in the heavenly astral space. I believe that she would be able to predict it. You don't have to worry too much. This time, Ji Luofei's comforting words did not make Ning Cheng feel relieved. When they first went to the Tian continent from the Lu continent, although Ruolin had also tempered her spiritual consciousness in the heavenly astral space, her cultivation at that time was too low. As such, she did not dare to release her spiritual consciousness at all. On the 9th day, the two of them suddenly felt an empty space around them. The spatial wind edges had also disappeared. Then, a powerful impact force suddenly blasted over, seemingly wanting to blow the two of them away from this position. Ning Cheng did not have time to think about it and directly hugged Ji Luofei. After protecting his whole body, they were swept away by this force. However, this force did not last for long. After just a few breaths, the two of them found themselves standing on top of a boulder. Ning Cheng estimated that this boulder was at least a few dozen miles in size. Judging from the surrounding spiritual qi and the gentle space, Ning Cheng understood that they should have come out of heaven's way. There were some buildings on top of the boulder as well as several shops. Moreover, the silhouettes of several cultivators could be seen faintly. This boulder was also suspended in the void. On the edge of this boulder, there were also several huge ships. We came out. This boulder is not inside heaven's way. This is not the Yixing mainland. It is a place that we have never been to before. Ning Cheng loosened his grip on Ji Luofei's hand and spoke. Ji Luofei was just about to speak when three male cultivators came out of the row of buildings. Among the three, the one with the highest cultivation was the man in colorful robes, who was already at Crucible Transformation 7th level. The other two had a stout stature and a short stature, with a cultivation at Crucible Transformation 5th level. The last one had a dark complexion, with a cultivation at Crucible Transformation 6th level. Swish swish. A few sounds of breaking through the air resounded, as several figures landed on top of the boulder. This time, it was 3 men and a woman. These 4 people were all Crucible Transformation cultivators, with the one with the highest cultivation being at Crucible Transformation 4th level. Hee, there are a lot of people trying to break through heaven's way today. In just a blink of an eye, 6 of them have already arrived. The one who spoke was the stout, short cultivator. Ning Cheng's mind raced. From the words of this short cultivator, he could vaguely guess that heaven's way was not only limited to the Yixing mainland. Cultivators from other places could also come here through heaven's way. As for the 3 men and 1 woman, they should have come from other continents. Hey, there's even a sea-opening realm ant. The one who spoke was the stout, short male cultivator. Chapter 450. This woman. The stout and short male cultivator's words suddenly stopped when he saw Jilu. It wasn't like he hadn't seen beautiful women in this place. He had occasionally seen someone as beautiful as Ji Lufei. However, as beautiful as Ji Lufei, she only came here with a sea-opening realm cultivator. This was the first time he had seen such a person. After saying that, he swallowed his saliva and continued, "I want it." The 2 people who followed him did not feel anything strange about it. In their opinion, no matter who Ji Lufei was, she only followed a sea-opening realm cultivator to this place. If this woman had followed a late-stage crucible transformation cultivator to this place, then there would have been some leeway. This one is not bad either. The one who spoke this time was the dark-faced crucible transformation 6th level cultivator standing beside the stout and short male cultivator. He was referring to the female cultivator among the other 3 men and 1 woman. They collected all kinds of fees here all year round, and their days were dull and monotonous. It wasn't strange for him to get a few female cultivators to have some fun. Of course, there were rules here as well. That was, one had to be sure of the other party's strength. It was best not to reveal the matter, let alone make a big deal out of it. A sea-opening realm cultivator and a crucible transformation 2nd level female cultivator, even if they wanted to make a big fuss out of it, it would be impossible for them to make such a big deal out of it. "The 6 of you come here." The colorful-robed cultivator with the highest cultivation beckoned to Ning Cheng, the other 3 men and 1 woman. When Ning Cheng heard the words "I want this woman," spoken by that short cultivator, he immediately felt a surge of killing intent in his heart. His divine sense was powerful and his true essence was deep. Even though he was quite a distance away from the other party, he could still hear them clearly. It was just that he wasn't clear about the situation here, so he was forcefully suppressing the killing intent in his heart. "I believe that this is your first time coming to the Receiving Heaven Stone. Let me give you a brief introduction. I am Gary from the Extinguishing Karma Starry Sky Fleet." After this cultivator in colorful robes finished, he pointed to the dark-skinned Crucible Transformation 6th level cultivator beside him and spoke. "This is Bien Shao from Black City's Pill Union. This is Cecil from the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce." Ning Cheng then came to know that this short and stout cultivator who had been staring at Luofei was called Cecil and was from the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce. Ning Cheng was a bit puzzled. Listening to Gary's introduction, these 3 people did not come from the same place. "Friend Gary, we've just arrived at the Receiving Heaven's Rock. May I know where the nearest continent is?" The one who asked the question was the fair-skinned male cultivator among the other 3 men and 1 woman. They should have come here from another place, just like Ning Cheng. Gary waved his hand. "You don't have to rush. I'll tell you the specifics of the situation. There was no land here, only an endless void. Wanting to pass through the void and find the starry sky continent in the vast universe was not an easy task. Even if you used a top-quality true artifact to fly for countless years, you might not necessarily be able to find a continent that you could survive on. But we are here to help you. Please give me some pointers, Brother Gary." The fair-skinned male cultivator spoke in a very polite tone. Gary nodded. "It's not easy to survive in the vast void and the endless universe. However, we can send you to a place called the Rootless Black City. Almost all the cultivators who entered Heaven's Way and came to this place chose to stay in the Rootless Black City. Only after reaching the Rootless Black City and raising your strength to a formidable level, then with the help of our Chamber of Commerce or the fleet, would you have the opportunity to enter the Starry Sky continent." Ning Cheng noticed the meaning behind Gary's words. That is, whether it was going to the Rootless Black City or searching for a continent in the vast starry sky, it was not something that they could achieve with their own strength. However, as long as they paid the price, their forces could help them achieve it. "Then, Brother Gary, for cultivators like us who have just arrived here, what do we need to do?" The fair-skinned male cultivator continued. Gary nodded. "Good question. You can take our airship and enter the rootless Black City. Then you can cultivate in the rootless Black City and go to the void to search for black essence stones. Only then would you have the opportunity to enter the starry sky. Remember, you must do so with our help. If you enter the void without permission and want to enter the rootless Black City with your own strength, then I'm sorry to tell you that you're a dead man. Would you kill us if we don't take your airship? The other female cultivator asked in a somewhat uncomfortable tone. Ning Cheng also noticed that the female cultivator who spoke had an extraordinary appearance. She had a fair complexion and a face like cream. She wore an emerald green muslin cultivator's robe that highlighted her graceful figure. From this, one could tell that she was a person who knew how to dress up. She originally had 7 points of beauty, but with this outfit, it immediately raised her to a whole new level. Gary laughed. Our extinguishing Karma Starry Sky Fleet is a famous Starry Sky Fleet. How could we possibly do such a thing? Not to mention our fleet, even the fleet of the Jiaxing Chamber of Commerce and the fleet of the Black City Pill Association would never do such a thing. If you don't want to take our fleet, then please leave. As long as you leave the Receiving Heaven Stone, I'm sure that even if you are in the Plundering Life realm, you would still end up in a dead end. The outside of the Receiving Heaven Stone is much more dangerous than the Heaven's Way you pass through. Not to mention about the spatial wind edges everywhere, even a small meteorite would be enough to turn your corporeal body into dust. In addition to that, once you encounter a spatial dislocation, you would only end up dead. Let me remind you, it's easy to leave the Receiving Heaven Stone, but if you want to come back, then don't even think about it. The female cultivator's expression changed, but she did not continue to speak. Although her spiritual consciousness could not sweep out of the Receiving Heaven Stone, she could feel that these words were not just sensationalism, but the truth. Ning Cheng finally understood the realm after the Crucible Transformation realm, the Plundering Life realm. He did not have much doubt about Gary's words. This Receiving Heaven Stone seemed to be protected by a natural restriction, which even his spiritual consciousness could not sweep out. Just like the female cultivator, he had a hunch that the void outside was not a simple matter. However, the restriction protecting the Receiving Heaven Stone, as Gary said, was easy to get out, but difficult to get in. Many thanks for Brother Gary's information. My name is Lan Wenbin. I also want to ask Brother Gary, how many spirit stones do you need to go to the rootless Black City? The fair-skinned man's tone turned even more respectful. He was very clear that these people had stopped in this place to explain for a long time. It was definitely not because they liked to do good deeds. Gary showed a faint smile. Spirit stones are only needed in the place where you are. We do not need spirit stones here, we need black coins. Black coins? Even Ning Cheng felt a bit surprised. Coins were something used in the secular world. How could they still use coins in a place of true cultivation? That's right, black coins. I guess that you do not have any black coins, however, it doesn't matter. You can always exchange them. 1,000 high-grade spirit stones for a black coin. From here to the rootless Black City, you will need 100,000 black coins. If you do not have them, you will not be able to buy a ticket. Gary spoke in a flat tone, however, his words revealed his true fangs. What? The 6 people, including Ning Cheng, felt shocked. The other party's meaning was that from here to the rootless Black City, one would need 100 million spirit stones. Even if an ordinary cultivator was rich, it was impossible for them to have so many spirit stones. The reason why Ning Cheng had billions of spirit stones was because he had taken back the spirit stones from the sale of the 9 geocentric heart essence and the 9-colored mirage tree. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to have so many spirit stones. Moreover, Ning Cheng absolutely did not believe in this exchange rate. Even if this was the exchange rate, he did not believe that it would cost 100 million spirit stones to take a ride on the airship. It was just like a billionaire with 2 billion yuan. If this billionaire went out to take a plane, he would need 100 million yuan. His family property would not even be enough for him to go back and forth 10 times. Ning Cheng pulled up Ji Luofei and spoke, "Luofei, let's go inside and have a look." Saying that, Ning Cheng directly turned around to the Gary trio and wanted to enter the row of buildings. There were also some merchant houses there, which he wanted to ask around. The stout and short cultivator called Cecile kept staring at Jilu. When he saw that Ning Cheng wanted to leave, he immediately stepped to the side and stopped Ning Cheng and Jilu. Wait. Ning Cheng spoke up in a cold tone. What? Do you still want to rob me? Ha, it's not that I don't dare to rob you. However, you are just a puny sea-opening realm cultivator. Is it worth it for me to rob you? This grandpa is here to help you. This female cultivator will stay here with me. I'll help you pay 20,000 black coins. You can go to the rootless black city first. This female cultivator can go there after a while. Cecile spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. In his opinion, it was a matter of course. Not interested. Ning Cheng still tried to restrain his anger. Behind Cecile was the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce. He had never come into contact with this Chamber of Commerce before. However, he had just learned from Gary that there were cultivators in the plundering life realm here. It was a level higher than crucible transformation cultivators. Since the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce was able to establish a foothold in this place, then presumably they also had cultivators in the plundering life realm. As such, he had to be a bit more careful. Even if I'm not interested, I still have to be interested. I want this woman today, no matter if she's okay or not. If not for Ji Luofei, how could Cecil, a crucible transformation 5th level cultivator, have the time to talk with a little cultivator in the sea-opening realm like Ning Cheng? What's more, today's business was his auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce's turn. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, calmed down. He wanted to kill Cecil, but he believed that if it was such an obvious act of kidnapping someone at the receiving heaven's stone, then after passing through the heaven's way, it would be tantamount to having no rules at all. Even if it was a place that relied on strength, there was an open rule. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng prepared the crystal ball and calmly asked, "My wife and I just passed through the receiving heaven's stone, and you want to forcibly abduct us. Could it be that the receiving heaven's stone doesn't have any logic to speak of, and everything is decided by you? Who do you represent? You still want to talk about reason with this grandpa? That's right, this grandpa has the final say in this place. This grandpa represents the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce. If the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce wants your woman, then you have to hand it over with both hands. That 20,000 black coins are gone. Today, this grandpa is going to keep this woman, even if she doesn't want to, she has to stay." Cecil laughed, while simultaneously reaching out to grab Ning Cheng with his hand. Ning Cheng pulled Ji Luofei back a few steps, dodging Cecil's hand, before speaking up in a voice filled with hatred. "We don't agree. Do you want to kill us husband and wife?" "That's right, I want to kill you. What can you do about it?" Cecil finished speaking, bringing out a blue knife. The knife had not yet come out, but several knife lights had already chopped down towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng put away the crystal ball and no longer bothered to talk nonsense with Cecil before bringing out his Nirvana spear. At the same time, a berserk spear intent cut through the space between him and Cecil before exploding towards Cecil. No matter who it was, since they dared to have any ideas about Luofei, he would not show even half a shred of mercy. Chapter 451. Cecil knew that Ning Cheng would resist, however, he did not put Ning Cheng in his eyes. Relatively speaking, he was more concerned about Ji Luofei. However, he soon discovered that Ji Luofei did not even move. Just when he felt proud in his heart, he felt his movements slow down. He clearly saw the tearing spear intent coming towards him. However, he did not have the ability to avoid it. Panic instantly filled Cecil's consciousness. He understood that the gap between him and this sea-opening realm cultivator was too big. "Stop!" He had not even finished the word, "stop," when Ning Cheng's long spear had already struck his glabella. A bloody mist erupted, and Cecil did not even have the chance to groan before his head exploded under Ning Cheng's spear. His lifeless body fell to the ground. Ning Cheng calmly picked up his ring and walked in front of Gary. At this moment, not only Gary and Bian Shao were shocked, but the other 3 men and 1 woman also looked at Ning Cheng in horror. A sea-opening realm cultivator? How could he be so powerful? Killing Cecil with a single spear, and Cecil did not even have the room to resist. Seeing Ning Cheng coming over, Gary subconsciously took a few steps back. While he spoke up, "What do you want?" "Brother Gary, Cecil wanted to kill me, did you see it?" As Ning Chung spoke, a powerful killing intent overflowed, causing Gary to feel a chill run down his spine. He suspected that as long as Ning Cheng was not satisfied with his words, the long spear in Ning Cheng's hand would immediately stab his head. He had never seen such a powerful sea-opening realm cultivator like Ning Cheng. Not to mention a sea-opening realm cultivator, even a plundering life realm cultivator might not be able to kill Cecil so easily. He was sure that if he and Ning Cheng fought, he would definitely end up dead. "I saw it, of course I saw it." "Then do you know why he wanted to kill me?" Cecil had taken a fancy to his friend's Dao companion, so he wanted to find an excuse. His approach was wrong. The rootless Black City absolutely does not allow people to rob the things of cultivators coming from the heavens way. Moreover, Cecil is also not allowed to rob female cultivators. Gary felt Ning Cheng's increasingly powerful killing intent and spoke up without hesitation. Ning Cheng nodded and suddenly spoke, "So that's how it is. Many thanks, Brother Gary. Cecil wanted to kill me, so I tried to protect him and accidentally injured him. My name is Ning Cheng. Because I just arrived here, I do not understand the rules. If anyone asks, I would like to ask Brother Gary to help me testify." Gary cursed in his heart. "You call this an accidental injury? You blew Cecil's head off with a single shot. I can feel that kind of killing intent even though I'm so far away. You call that an accidental injury?" However, Ning Cheng's killing intent was constantly oppressing him, so he had no choice but to speak up, "Of course, of course. Cecil's behavior, my extinguishing karma starry sky fleet hates such people the most. Even if Brother Ning did not say it, I would have come forward to testify for you. Many thanks, Brother Gary." Ning Cheng happily cupped his fists and spoke. "It's just a trivial matter," Gary said, but in his heart he already regarded Ning Cheng as a dead man. Anyone who dared to kill the rotating cultivators on the receiving heavenstone would only end up dead. You might be powerful, but you can only be powerful here. Once you reach the rootless Black City, even if you were twice as powerful, you would still end up dead. Ning Cheng ignored this Gary. He turned to the other black-faced cultivator who was still in shock and asked, "This friend should be Bien Shao of the Black City Pill Union, right?" Brother Gary of the Extinguishing Karma Starry Sky Fleet was willing to testify for me. I wonder if Brother Bien would also be willing to testify for me? The fierce killing intent once again surged over, causing Bien Shao to feel a chill run down his spine. He quickly cupped his fists and spoke, "Of course, of course, of course. We also hate this kind of thing. How can we not testify for Brother Ning?" At this time, he had already thrown the other female cultivator to the side. Even if he had more courage, he would not dare to say that he wanted that woman to stay. "Many thanks to the two of you. Looks like there are still many good people in this world. By the way, Brother Gary, I would like to ask something. Since we will also be considered as people of the rootless Black City in the future, I don't know if we can exchange spirit stones for black coins?" Ning Cheng showed a smile, while the killing intent radiating from his body instantly disappeared without a trace. It was as if he did not know that Gary and Bien Shao had already agreed to it. Gary quickly spoke up, "Of course there is a discount, a lot of it. In the rootless Black City, 100 spirit stones can be exchanged for a black coin. However, it is slightly more expensive here. As for the price, each merchant house has a different price." Ning Cheng calmly nodded, "It really is a little bit of a discount. Brother Gary, I'll be going inside for a bit. Goodbye." Ning Cheng had already seen many cultivators coming out from the inside, seemingly feeling that something had happened here. The other 3 men and 1 woman felt shocked. How was this just a little bit of a discount? From 1,000 spirit stones for a black coin to 100 spirit stones for a black coin? How could this be called a little bit of a discount? The 4 people on seeing Ning Cheng enter, quickly cupped their fists towards the Gary duo before chasing after Ning Cheng. The few of them could see that Ning Cheng was not an ordinary person. Although his cultivation was far inferior to the 4 of them, his strength and means were definitely strong. "Brother Ning, I'm Lan Wenbin. I just came from Heaven's Way. These are my fellow senior apprentice brothers and sisters. The fair-skinned male cultivator chased after Ning Cheng and cupped his fists. They, like Ning Cheng, also needed to go to the rootless Black City. If everyone joined forces, it would definitely reduce the number of people bullying them. Ning Cheng understood the meaning behind the other party's words, however, he did not care about it. In this place, the more people there were, the more power there was. After the few people introduced themselves to each other, Ning Cheng came to know that the one with the highest cultivation among the four was Wu Marui, Crucible Transformation 4th level. Wu Marui had a tall stature and looked very imposing. However, he spoke in a very shy manner. The other two were ordinary-looking youths called Mao Liangping, with the cultivation of Crucible Transformation 2nd level. As for the good-looking female cultivator, she also had the cultivation of Crucible Transformation 2nd level, called Ji Ying. These four people all came from a mainland that Ning Cheng had never heard of, the Great Wind Mainland. Ning Cheng asked around and found out that the Great Wind Mainland was a bit better than the Yixing Mainland. However, the laws here were also not complete. After cultivating to a certain extent, one would have to enter Heaven's Way in search of a higher realm. Brother Ning, you have to be careful about what happened just now. I don't think that Gary would be willing to testify for you. We have just arrived in this place. Besides going to the rootless Black City, there is no other place to go. If it doesn't work, I suggest giving them some spirit stones to see if this matter can be resolved. After the few people became a little more familiar with each other, Lan Wenbin carefully advised. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. Brother Lan, you don't have to worry about it. Let's see if there is only one rootless Black City in this place. If there really is only one rootless Black City, then we can leave this place as soon as possible and head to the rootless Black City. Seeing Ning Cheng speak in such a manner, Lan Wenbin did not continue to persuade him. Senior apprentice Brother Ning, thank you. If you had not killed that Cecile, Bian Shao would definitely not have let me go. As a Crucible Transformation 2nd level female cultivator, Jing was very sensitive. Bian Shao's gaze swept over her body, which she had already noticed. Ning Cheng smiled. Everyone came here looking for opportunities. Being able to help you, I am also very happy. Looking at Ning Cheng's group of 6 entering the merchant house, Gary and Bian Shao's expressions turned gloomy. These 6 businesses originally belonged to them. As such, they did not dare to step forward and speak any nonsense. In fact, they had never seen such an arrogant newcomer. Killing Cecile of the auspicious Star Chamber of Commerce, yet still wants us to testify for him? Who does this kid think he is? Even if he is in the plundering life realm, so what? Bian Shao stared at the backs of Ning Cheng's group and spoke with a hateful voice. Gary spoke up in a cold tone. Brother Bian, I was just thinking about how he could be sure that we would testify for him. Could he have secretly recorded the crystal ball? That's right, if he recorded the crystal ball, then it would be too bad. However, in such a hurry, it should not be possible for him to think of so many things, right? Bian Shao frowned, before suddenly speaking up. Gary waved his hand. Whether this person recorded the video or not, I think we should change our strategy. This Dao companion surnamed Ning is indeed beautiful. Think about it. If we tell the rootless Black City's junior city master that such a beautiful female cultivator has come to the rootless Black City, what do you think would happen? I really admire Brother Gary. Why didn't I think of it? Bian Shao laughed, feeling quite happy. The few of them had always been arrogant in this place. Moreover, when Ning Cheng used his killing intent to suppress them, they felt extremely uncomfortable in their hearts. Let's talk about it later, someone else is coming. Gary waved his hand at Bian Shao. After Ning Cheng and the others entered a rest stop, they found that there were quite a few people here. Because these merchant houses all had various restrictions, he had not seen them before. This was probably the makeshift market with the least number of shops that Ning Cheng had ever seen in his life. On the monotonous street, there were only a few people walking around. However, each of the rest stops had a lot of people inside. Did the few of you just come out of Heaven's Way? Ning Cheng and the others had just arrived at the entrance of the rest stop when the rest stop's shop assistant immediately greeted them. Yes, I want to ask, if we want to leave the receiving Heaven Stone, is the rootless Black City the only way? Ning Cheng replied. The shop assistant quickly spoke up with a smile. Of course, this place belongs to the void. In this place, other than the receiving heaven stone, the other place is the rootless black city. If you leave these two places, then without a large ship, only death awaits you. However, if the few of you want to go to the rootless black city, then you will have to wait for 3 days. The boat from here to the rootless black city leaves every 3 days. How much is the ticket? The people outside asking you for the ticket must have cost more than 50,000 black coins, right? In fact, it is not that high. From here to the rootless black city, it generally costs around 50,000 black coins. If there are a lot of people, then we can still negotiate the price. Moreover, there are a lot of ships heading to the rootless black city from here. Moreover, there are several shops that do this kind of business. The shop assistant did not seem to care about Gary and the others and spoke in a very direct manner. Lan Wenbin asked, "We have just arrived and do not have any black coins. I want to ask, how do we exchange for black coins? If the few of you want to stay in our rest stop and take the ship arranged by our Chamber of Commerce, then I will give you 200 spirit stones for a black coin. At the same time, the ticket is 50,000 black coins, and the accommodation for a night is 10,000 black coins. 200 spirit stones for a black coin is the cheapest in the receiving heaven stone. As for 100 spirit stones for a black coin, you can only go to the rootless black city. You definitely cannot exchange for it here." The shop assistant spoke in a very sincere tone. Ning Cheng still felt a bit better. However, Lan Wenbin and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. From here to the rootless black city, it would require at least 10 million spirit stones. If they wanted to find a place to stay after arriving at the rootless black city, then wouldn't they need even more spirit stones? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.